Good morning, everyone. I am not Ainsley Bowden, and I am welcoming you to Bitcast 295. Is that right? I haven't been on 295 of these. Dan, have you been on 295 of these?
I've been on probably 270-ish
Wow.
of these.
That's a lot of Bitcast, folks. Thanks
Yes.
for hanging in there with us. And we're going to be talking about the Summer Showcase pre-show with Luke, also from Season Gaming. Thank you for being here, Luke, filling in that fourth quadrant that's so important. That's what the video game people tell me.
That is what they say, and my pleasure. Appreciate you guys having me today.
Oh, absolutely. We're going to have some fun. As I think everybody knows, the Bitcast has a special announcement today. We are an unofficial Skull and Bones podcast, and it's very exciting to talk with you all about that today because it is season 2 this week of Skull and Bones, and Dan is already out. But what I'm really excited about is that Ains has also given me a message that says he's not going to be watching this. He's not going to be available. So he can't stop this from wherever he is in the world. So hello, everybody, in Skull and Bones season 2. How many hours of Skull and Bones have you played, Dan?
I'm just guessing right now. He regrets not giving us that power to change whatever. He must have just forgot
to hit the buttons.
You
should be able to
it's
mute
over
me,
now. It's over. No. I have completed 0 hours, still 30 minutes of the demo. So I did do that.
All right, Travis, how many hours of Skull and Bones have you played, my friend?
Total or this week?
Total.
Oh God. It's at least maybe 200, something like that.
I was very excited to tell folks that I've played 103 hours as of this week, which I consider to be a lot of good times in video game land. That's getting your money's worth.
Oh, yeah.
But it's nothing like Travis time. I don't know where you find the time.
Yeah, I was playing it last night, actually. So if you would have told me that we were sticking to the Skull and Bones plan, I would have got out my nautical tie for this. Maybe I still will. I got a Skull and Crossbones tie.
Well, that's impressive. I have a pirate hat, as you can see.
Oh my God. I'll be right back.
All right.
Oh my God.
Folks from Ubisoft, if you are watching this Bitcast, understand that I do have a very low sales price. But I am very excited about Skull and Bones, as you can tell. And we're going to talk a little bit about Season 2 before we get into topics of what I'm told are of more interest to everyone on Earth. But before we get there, Skull and Bones, Season 2 this week, the Chorus of Havoc. How can you not get pumped about the Chorus of Havoc? This is a season in which 2 Frenchmen who are opera singers instead take to the high seas to bring their fleet of chorus minders into your world. And look at that Skull and Bones tie. Travis has a tie for every occasion, folks.
Are you double tying it?
No, God. We're gonna do the slide.
What a day.
It's like Back to the Future 2. He's gonna wear both.
Oh wow. Oh my God. Yeah, I have no idea.
Do live right now.
But it's a Chorus of Havoc, and this season has introduced fleet management for running your own smuggling empire, has introduced upgrades into each ship type, which is basically like adding 30 new ships to all of your options in Skull and Bones. And I know that everyone on this Bitcast and everyone that's watching is thoroughly excited about the additions to Skull and Bones. Isn't that right, Travis?
Yeah, honestly, it's pretty I'm pretty impressed by the mechanical changes they've made. I do have some criticisms. I really think having to defend your manufacturers seems like a big mistake to me and kind of slows down the pieces of 8 grind. But I was able to log on and immediately purchase every item that you can buy for sovereigns or pieces of 8 right away. So I own everything in the game right now.
I want folks to know how hard that is because I literally had 12 pieces of silver at one point this week. I have 60 sovereigns, and I think now because I played all week, I have a couple thousand pieces of 8. Travis shows me a screenshot just to put me in my place earlier this week that shows 6 million silver, thousands upon thousands of pieces of 8 and sovereigns. And Travis is just much better at either video games, life, grinding, or all 3. I don't know.
Or just Skull and Bones.
Or just Skull and Bones.
It could just be that.
But no, I had a lot of fun this week. There are a lot of new high-level ship encounters. I've grouped up with people. We've taken down various aspects of the French chorus. And I'm looking forward to playing more Skull and Bones as the season progresses. So that has been your Skull and Bones top of the hour with the Bitcast, an unofficial Skull and Bones podcast.
Now we're going to transfer over to NCAA 25 and all the hot takes that we saw. So we're just going to keep it Skull and Bones and college football today.
That's right. Who's excited about college football 25 on this Bitcast? I know I am. Dan?
Mm-hmm.
I only asked you because you were in the middle of a drink.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, I'm super excited for it. Haven't played anything, obviously, but they did come out with their big preview.
We got some gameplay this week. What a week!
Gameplay.
Skull and Bones
Tons of
Season 2
stuff.
college football gameplay. How could Ains even miss this week?
I don't know. He's out of his mind.
I don't know
somebody's
either.
Graduating or something. I don't know. Who the hell knows?
Some family stuff, right? Other obligations.
Family, overrated. Yeah, it was fantastic. There's a lot of stuff. I don't want to get into it for all the non-college football fans, but if you are a college football fan, it is going to be very in-depth, and it is going to be extremely fun, and I think worth the 10-year wait, hopefully. Couple of things that I'm kind of iffy on, but for the most part, let's go. I mean, this is going to be the game that I play basically when we do this little segment in the beginning. That will be,
this is your Hitman 3,
Dan. Yeah, more college football. Yeah, that'll be me, and that'll be it, and that'll be probably it until Space Marine 2. So,
also a good-looking game. But yeah, College Football 25 had gameplay shown. It does look at least a little bit different from just a normal reskin of Madden that I think we've grown to expect from EA releasing college football games every year. And so like most sports franchises, I think that a big, long hiatus between entries has done them some good. And I'm very excited, of course, about seeing my Michigan Wolverines continue to dominate the college football landscape. So, Travis, are you as equally excited about college football as the top row here?
No.
Good talk.
All right.
It is a talking podcast, Travis, as a reminder. Luke, are you into college football at all?
I'm not even a little bit, but I did want you to know that I played 3 hours and 11 minutes of Skull and Bones.
Yes.
Time.
Oh, geez, we got to go back. Get the hat back on.
Luke, I apologize for not asking you. I assumed it was 0.
I just wanted that to be clear that it took 3 hours and 11 minutes, and I was like, oh, I'm cutting wood. I'm out.
Oh, no, that's great. Collecting resources and then refining those resources into new recipes to upgrade your ships, to upgrade your fleet, to upgrade your power is a fantastic gameplay loop. Ubisoft, we want more. More resources, more recipes, more ship designs, just more. What a great game you've built. Skull and Bones, everybody. It is on super sale basically everywhere. So go check out the sales prices now. Yes, really. It is a part of the Sony Days of Play sale. It is a part of the Xbox. We're selling stuff on our store sale. It's not on.
I know that's a really
Switch.
good one. Really popular sale, that one.
They don't give them names like Sony does. I don't know what to tell you.
That's right. Use code HOGLAW for an extra 10% off, and you guys are going to be in good shape.
If you're in Ubisoft or you know someone that is, just mention that I'm a big fan of Skull and Bones. And if they have any swag boxes that they would like to send of pirate doubloons or whatever they have, I am in the market for piracy gear. But no, Skull and Bones is fantastic. Please do check it out. It is a very unusual AAA type game experience. You're not going to get the Skull and Bones experience from Sea of Thieves or from basically anything else in the gaming landscape right now. But it does remind me of economics games and strategy games of the 90s and PC variants. So if any of that sounds remotely interesting to you, check it out because it's got great sailing. It's got great piracy. Skull and Bones. Ains, I love you. Thank you for letting me do this, my friend.
Man. Well, that started off weird.
Oh, boy. This is
also, if you're interested, College Football 25 has a team that is the Pirates. So East Carolina, I'm coming for you. We're going to pirate it up all year long. It's going to be exciting.
My alma mater. That's my alma mater.
Is it really?
Yep.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
One of the best teaching schools on the East Coast, and I went to be a teacher. So yeah.
Oh, wonderful. I had no idea. I have to be honest, Luke, I usually pick them to play as in Dynasty mode because they often have a very poorly rated football team.
You will not offend me in the slightest when it comes to that. I remember my dorm being not 200 yards from the stadium, and there were a lot of boos and upset people yelling quite often.
I like to bring them to glory in college football's digital landscape. So
there you go.
They've got a great logo.
They do. I will grant that. I will grant that.
All right, now before we do get into what we are playing other than Skull and Bones, I do have some super chats to hit. Dan, these are for you, and I think the topics will be exciting to everyone.
Yeah, dang it. All right, Darth Mac, member comment. Well, I played Skull and Bones, and I agree with Hogue Law. I'm having fun. It's not exactly what I want, but it's enjoyable. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks.
I like the backhanded compliment, Darth Mac.
Yeah.
It's like you don't know what you want, right? In the consumer landscape, a lot of what I would describe in Skull and Bones will sound boring, but it is excellent. I don't know what to tell you. So go check it out like Darth Mac did and agree with Hogue Law that you're having fun.
Yeah. It's not exactly what I want, but it's enjoyable, I believe was the title of my review of Skull and Bones. And also
it was going to be your memoir.
Yeah, it's also the motto of this podcast, I believe. Yeah.
Yep.
That all makes sense. All right. And of course, Googleman coming in with topical and timely podcast notes.
Of course. With the €5. Thank you, sir. About that Wolverine popcorn bucket.
I think Ryan Reynolds is trying too hard, but that's how I felt about his entire career, and he continues to succeed. So who am I?
What is happening?
Maximum effort. Nothing wrong with trying hard.
Baby. Yeah.
I'm not the biggest fan of Ryan Reynolds' particular brand of humor. So
I'm there
Wolverine
for
popcorn
it.
bucket.
Yeah, I'm there for it. I'm so excited.
Has problems with comedy, but that's okay. We forgive.
I really love The Fall Guy. If you're looking for comedy, I thought that movie was excellent. I just watched it for the second time in a week. So do check that one out. I think it's a really well done movie.
I enjoyed that movie. I like that movie.
See, they're not all Skull and Bones takes, folks.
Oh, we got another one though. All right. Fantastic.
Please, folks, if you want to support Skull and Bones, none of the money that you send in your super chats will get to Ubisoft, but they will appreciate your well wishes. Debbie W., thank you for gifting 5 Season Gaming memberships. Hearing all this Skull and Bones talk, you said, yes, those people need more memberships, and I approve that message. Thank you, Debbie.
That's what it is. Sarnisms with the member comment. Hogue, please tell us what all the Unmatched sets behind you are.
Yeah, so Unmatched is one of my favorite board games, made by Restoration Games, which takes essentially rule sets and games that are older and brings them up to quality of life standards in 2025 and beyond. And so Unmatched is a game in which you can pick a character that's usually in the public domain, like Sherlock Holmes or the Invisible Man or Achilles or Tyrannosaurus Rex, and have them fight each other. And so I think behind me, I have a couple of the Marvel sets, Jurassic Park, Houdini, Little Red Riding Hood, and the Big Bad Wolf. And I think that's all I saw over the top of my head, but I have basically all of them. So it's just what could fit in that space that's actually there versus anything else. But I love Unmatched. If you're ever in the area, you want to play Skull and Bones, then Unmatched, that's a good day for me.
I love that Hogue decided to not take his Ritalin this morning. It's very good for me.
Can I stop the show for a minute? What's Skull and Bones?
Stop the show.
What is Skull and Bones? I'm unfamiliar.
You're unfamiliar with Skull and Bones as a product? Skull and Bones is a pirate video game that was basically on Ubisoft's deck, as it were, for the better part of a decade, and which we didn't think was actually going to come out, was designed to be a game made out of the piracy sailing portions of the Assassin's Creed franchise and turned into something even better than that.
I missed all that. Will you say it again? I'm just kidding.
Oh my God.
I don't think I can say it again.
Dear Lord.
Legally.
Cookie Monsteve with the member comment. Sadly, I haven't played Skull and Bones since I'm not playing electronic games at the moment, but I may start just to play it.
I have some excellent pirate board games to recommend if that's what you're more into, but Skull and Bones is an excellent electronic game.
Yes, sure. No comment. All right, Glyphere
Amish
back this week.
The Amish life for a year, I think. It's a reverse.
With a $2 comment. Stop the Skull and Bones Kool-Aid, Hogue. Penn State Big Ten 2024.
I think Penn State's going to have a solid team. I think you have a coaching problem, but that's okay.
Yeah, go Hawks. Righty. Let's see. Thank you, Glyphere. All right. Shoosh. I have a Skull and Bones question. How do I cancel Ubisoft Plus sub?
Oh no! See, you'll lose access to Skull and Bones if you take away your subs. You don't want to do that. I understand the confusion because subs are hard to navigate, but you don't want to cancel it. You want to keep your Skull and Bones access. Certainly, Shush.
Yeah. Yes. No.
Thank you, everybody, for the comments and member chats and super chats. I really appreciate it.
I feel like I'm in a dream. Anybody else getting that feeling?
Yeah, a little bit.
This is.
I was asked to host the Bitcast this week, and I'm going to host the heck out of it. That's what I decided.
He's doing a great job.
I'm with you.
All right. So now that we've gotten past some of our early discussion about what we're playing, Dan, what are you playing this week?
MLB and what else did I? That's about it, really. I haven't really had a whole lot of time. I just kind of jump on Hitman 3, obviously. I just have like a rotation of stuff. Then something jumps in there. A little more Rise of the Ronin. I did play a little bit of Valhalla just to go back and kind of remember how it was. Still Valhalla. Doesn't get me any more excited for the new Assassin's Creed. But
we'll get there. We have some stuff to talk about from Ubisoft. Outside of course, Skull and Bones. But I'm glad that you're enjoying the show so much, Dan. You enjoy it every year. Is this year a big jump up? The status quo? What are you noticing about the show this year?
They didn't do very much, but as far as there's some more Negro Leagues stuff, which is cool. So I'm enjoying that. I usually play Road to the Show, which is just making up your player and then playing through several games. I usually pick a pitcher and then a relief pitcher to kind of expedite the experience a little bit more, because then I only have to come in as a closer for like usually one inning, sometimes two, and I can just go bam, 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 through an entire season really, really, really quickly. So
that makes sense. I once tried to do that, and I was like shortstop, and you wind up playing like 25 plays a game. It's like,
it's so bad.
It's too much.
It takes too long. Yeah. And but it's basically a lot of the same stuff. I wish they would transfer over some stuff because I had so much stuff in 23 and 22. But I love baseball. I've been watching a ton of baseball. We just got done watching K-State baseball, which I never thought I'd be watching college baseball, but it's actually pretty enjoyable. They use aluminum bats, and it's amazing sound when that ball hits that bat, and they just crank home runs. It's just like a home run derby. Fantastic stuff.
That's why they don't let the pros use the aluminum bats, I think.
That's exactly it. Yeah. I tried to explain it to my wife. I was like, there's so few of these guys that are going to make it to this next level, and then you put that aluminum bat in their hand. It would be insane. Insane. But good times. Cubs suck still. Royals are sucking again. So everything is right in the world.
I love it, Dan. I love how much you stick with the games that you enjoy. I think that is fantastic. I tend to be...
Saves me tons of money.
All over the place, playing all sorts of different games, except for, of course, Skull and Bones, which is a standard every week. In my gaming diet now, Travis, we didn't do a pre-show about what you can and can't talk about. So is there anything you can talk about that you're playing this week?
I can talk about some stuff I played.
Good.
Nice. This week, my review in progress and my final review for Killer Clowns from Outer Space went live. So
I don't think I saw the update.
What's that?
I don't think I saw the updated final review.
Yeah, it was on Friday afternoon, so it kind of makes sense. But that game is good. It's a fun game. You get to run around as clowns killing teenagers, or as teenagers trying to run away from said clowns. It's goofy, over the top, super funny and creative. Some of the ways that the clowns interact. You can run teenagers over with an invisible car, like a real clown. It's good times. My big criticism in my final review is just that as you sometimes get with these asymmetrical horror games, it's a little shallow, right? You can run out of stuff to do like just after a couple evenings of play, once you've unlocked everything for the clowns and for the humans, and then you're sort of just like replaying the stuff over and over again. It can run thin pretty quick. But other than that, it's a good, fun time. I had some good laughs and memories with the people I was playing it with. If you are a fan of the cult classic film, Killer Clowns from Outer Space, this does a very good job kind of recapturing that hilarious, absurd magic from that old film. So really cool. And then I also finished my review yesterday, which you can read now, of Disney Dreamlight Valley, the current version of the game as it
very
exists
similar games
right now. Yeah, very similar. Actually, honestly, this was kind of cool that I was reviewing both these games at the same time because they could not be more different, and it was like a good way to kind of get a breath of fresh air. You go back and forth. You're like, all right, I've been murdering kids for a while as a goofy clown with squeaky feet. Time to chill and fish with Goofy.
I often wonder about development, right? Because it takes so much longer to make a game than it does to just interact with one as a player. That if you're making one of these spooky horror games and it's gruesome and violent, Dead by Daylight, what have you, that it gets into your head after you've been making it for 8 straight years as your only job. So I can certainly understand wanting to fish with Goofy after running down kids as a killer clown. But I really did like your, I guess, pre-review or review before you had kind of gone through the networking and multiplayer. One of the things that jumped out at me at this game is that it's not 1 versus 4. It's got a weird kind of number. It's
really weird and chaotic. It's 3 versus 7. So it's a 10-player multiplayer mode. The reason that's cool is because it means there's a lot less like boring moments, right? Where like you're one of the 4 kids kind of not doing anything. Instead, there's 3 clowns, so your odds of running into clowns are pretty high when you're a human, but also your odds of being able to just like get away being undetected and just like leave are also pretty good. So there's a good chance you can kind of like survive in the scuffle while everybody else is running around. You just like get out while things are crazy. And it leads to more interesting matches because it means that there's almost no matches where the clowns kill all 7 humans, and there's almost no scenario where all 7 humans escape. So it's always like some sort of like, oh, well, some of us made it out, some of us didn't. And that means everybody gets to have a little bit of fun at least, right? Because it's no fun in an asynchronous multiplayer game where you're asymmetrical multiplayer game where like the bad guys are just like completely dominating you and you have no chance. And it's also no fun if you're the bad guy and the humans are like way too good and just get away without you being able to do anything to them. So I think it ends up working out. It is a little chaotic, which makes it more casual. It doesn't feel as like competitive as like Dead by Daylight, right? Because you can succeed if you're really good at being a human, you're probably going to get away. But whether or not the 6 other people on your team get away is a different story altogether. And if you're good enough and you stay behind and try to get them all out, like I've seen some, we had some runs where like I would get a boat ready and I would put 3 other people on it and then say goodbye to them. And then I would stay and like keep trying to get out because I was like confident I could get through. But usually, at least in one very long example, I got all 6 other people off the island and then I couldn't get myself off because the clowns just, 3-on-1.
It's always fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's always that guy in Dead by Daylight that's hanging out at the exit.
Yeah.
And trying to usher people out. And I always enjoy it when he doesn't make it. So I'm glad that is replicated.
Somebody asked if an asynchronous multiplayer game is just turn-based multiplayer. I would say asynchronous multiplayer is you make a move while the other person's logged out of the game, and then when they log on, they make their next move. So it'd be like turn-based with where you can't play it at the same time, I think. Oh my God, look at these clowns.
Yes, I was adding a little bit of color to your review. Thank you to Against the Tide, as always, for putting together some interesting imagery of the Bitcast crew. Ains obviously isn't here, but he is in the top left corner as a clown designed to scare. Dan, mostly looking like you just got your makeup a little bit off that day, but you still look like you.
I look French.
Hogue, I have to say, I think this confirms the Hogue bias. This thing. Why is it that only Hogue is worthy of ultra widescreen? I must ask.
Yeah,
I do not look
IMAX.
I do not look great in that image, I have to say.
I mean, I think you look fine for a clown. I am very clearly channeling my Joaquin Phoenix, which fair. I think that's I think I'm the Joker from. I think it looks like I'm about to sing with Lady Gaga.
It does.
Like.
Your hair is blazing red, and I love how it dealt with Ains by just giving him like a nebula behind him.
I think that's supposed to be his hair. I'm not sure.
Well, they're devil horns.
Yeah,
that's the.
It kind of looks like Bozo.
Who's the scariest clown? I would say Ains is the scariest clown. I think
Ains and you, Travis. Ains and you.
Really, I look type sad. Of horror.
I think it's a matter of like what they're gonna do to you. Ains is gonna maul you. You're gonna.
I kind of look like I'm gonna dissect you. Like I'm gonna be like, "Oh, the doctor's in in the house," and then I get out my fun tools, my plastic. Like,
don't say that again, man.
Yeah,
wow.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So when we were playing Killer Clowns, anytime I was a clown, I would take on a different clown persona and then be that in voice chat, and everybody was like, "Dude, Travis, stop it! It's scary. I don't like it." You know.
I will say, having played an asymmetrical horror game with you, you do enjoy making everybody uncomfortable. So
I do.
If you can imagine that, chat, that's what Travis is like playing one of these games. And speaking of those games, you've played a lot of them. Where would you rank the clowns against the Texas Chainsaws and the Evil Dead?
Yeah, so I think it's probably a little lower than Evil Dead for me, because I think Evil Dead has a like more repeatable loop of like it's basically like a battle royale if you're human, and then if you're the bad guy, you get to play kind of like a game master where you're floating around as an invisible orb, like setting up the kind of mayhem. I really like that game a lot. In terms of Texas Chainsaw and stuff, it's a little harder to gauge because I reviewed these games when they had when they were kind of different games than they are today. So I think Texas Chainsaw I might have given a 5 or 6 because there were a bunch of problems with that game when I reviewed it early on. I have friends who are still playing that game and say that in fact, some of them helped me with this review because they know a lot about asynchronous or god dang it, asymmetrical. I need to get that out of my head. Asymmetrical multiplayer games. They say that the game's changed a lot, so it's a little harder. I would say I probably connected with this one in more ways because of the goofiness and casualness, but also Texas Chainsaw is a lot of fun, especially when it gets really competitive, which depending on which patch you're playing of that game, it can be extremely competitive or not so much. I like it more than the Ghostbusters game for sure.
Really?
Yeah,
I didn't have that vibe, but I think it's a brand awareness. And I will say we had a Miles Dampierre on XDP yesterday, and he shed a lot of light on Ilphonic's approach to Killer Clowns from Outer Space and kind of the lessons learned from Ghostbusters and whatnot. And it's neat to see how ASIM games have evolved, because I would argue they were fairly one note early on, and Killer Clowns is certainly not one note. It is very dependent to your point about how they can get old quickly. Playing with friends, I think, is how you alleviate that. And if you're playing solo, you're right. I think the mechanics get a bit shallow quickly.
Yeah. They definitely can. But yeah, I think it's very clear. So for those who don't know and what Luke is referencing, Ilphonics, the developer, they also made another game I reviewed last year, the Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed asymmetrical multiplayer game.
I can never remember the subtitle for that one. There's too many Ghostbusters games, folks.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's called Spirits Unleashed.
I think you're right.
Yeah, and that one, I think it was fun. It had potential, but it sort of didn't have as much goofiness as you might expect from a Ghostbusters game, and then it really followed the asymmetrical multiplayer formula to a T, in that it was like a 4v1, except for the bad guys, aka the ghosts, were the ones hiding, and the humans were the ones chasing. So it was kind of a sim in reverse from the normal formula. But I think it's very clear that they got better at this through Killer Clowns, because Killer Clowns feels more original, less kind of contained in its IP. It kind of just lets the IP be itself, and you can kind of see the like love for that franchise on the screen. So yeah, I think they've come a long way, and I hope they keep doing this stuff, because ASIM games, I think, are still in the like very early evolutionary stages of what the genre could be. I think we're still kind of very early on in that. So
well, I'm a huge Dead by Daylight fan, and I like the concept of asymmetrical play. I guess I worry with 7 versus 3 that your earliest breakdown point with a multiplayer game is when the audience leaves and you can support only so many people in a given game. So like one of the reasons I like Skull and Bones and I recommend it is that it's primarily a PvE game. So Ubisoft maybe didn't get the bang out of its buck that it wanted from launch, and we can still see certain aspects of Ubisoft being okay with it, and the season's progressing as we've talked about at the top of this episode. But end of the day, you can probably play Skull and Bones with like 12 other people in the entire universe of people playing Skull and Bones. The game's not going to break down without it. And so I do worry with more people that if folks don't connect with the Killer Clowns, that it's going to be earlier rather than later that it breaks down from a multiplayer standpoint. But
yes,
I wish
can also
success.
Yeah, I hope so as well. But I can also say that we did run into that problem during the review period, just because usually during a review period, there's not that many people playing. Yeah. And matches can go on fairly long, which means that there's fewer opportunities for meeting up with a group in matchmaking. And so half-filled lobbies before which is why I didn't put a final review out until the game was fully out, because I just feel like it's, we've learned this lesson before about how to review multiplayer games, where it depends a lot on the live servers and how many people are playing. But yeah, getting 10 people together is kind of a pain in the ass. And the bots in Killer Clowns are probably the worst bots I've ever seen in terms of like.
There's a lot of games with bad bots, Travis.
How they behave. Yeah, they're real bad though. Like they just stand in place a lot of the time, or walk around and don't make any attempts to like flee or fight you. And it's very, yeah, you got to play this game with multiplayer. I would even recommend, like, if you have a small amount of friends you want to play this with, get a group of 3 together and go in as the clowns, because that's just like a lot of fun to have that communication. If you have more than 3 friends, try to get a group of 7 together, which is the maximum party size for matchmaking, and go in as a human group. Both of those can be really peak experiences. In our case, we had 10 people. Sometimes we stayed in the same chat. Sometimes we split up and had other people go into a different voice channel so we couldn't hear them. And that is like a really, really great way to play that game.
You mean you stayed in the same chat and just didn't remind them that you could hear everything they were saying?
We explicitly reminded each other of that, and they tried to use it as like mind games. Like they were given like false call outs, like, oh yeah, we, trying to mess with each other. So, yeah, that game could be a lot of fun, man.
Well, good.
Alex is in the chat. He played with me. He was terrible. I killed him every game. I don't think he ever got away. I did include footage of me murdering you in a porta potty in my review, so I hope you appreciate that, Alex.
Friendship.
I'm sure he does.
Don't you ever try to hide from me in a porta potty, ever.
I'm sure he appreciates the call out now.
Yeah, I hope so.
That's good stuff. Well, Travis, I'm glad you got to play a game that you enjoyed this week, and your review is available at some small outlet.
Yeah, you can read it on IGN.com or watch it on YouTube. Also, the Dreamlight Valley review. And then, oh yeah, I did want to talk about another game I played last week that I didn't write any content for, explicitly because VR coverage doesn't do super well on IGN and is kind of a niche. So I actually pitched covering this game to my editors, and they were like, nah. So I will just talk about it here,
okay.
Which is we
have no editors, folks.
Yeah, no editors, which is why you can talk about Skull and Bones for the top of the hour, which is great.
We got more Skull and Bones content. Don't you guys worry in the chat.
I'm excited. I'm excited for the extremely long segment that will be permanently added to the Bitcast. I want to talk about a VR game called Population 1, which is a very popular VR game. It's a shooter, and its battle royale mode is sort of the meat and potatoes of what it's known for. They have an update that I think still isn't out, I'm pretty sure, called the Phoenix battle royale update, and it is I got to play it early, and it's if you've never played this game, it is pretty much somebody's saying it's like VR Fortnite. I would say tonally it's closer to like PUBG probably. Like it's not really the same sort of cartooniness. It is cartoony because it's in VR, and if you've ever played a VR game, a lot of those games tend to like go low on the resolution so that they can make it fun in VR and worry less about how it looks. So it is like, low poly and just like you feel like you're playing a low res, like old school game. But I think it's a really unique. They do a really good job at recreating all the stuff you want in a battle royale in VR. And this update is super impressive. They have a new map coming. They've refined a lot of the mechanics. And I got to play with the developers on 2 separate play sessions, and it's just really fun. So if you are a VR person looking for new VR experiences and you somehow have not heard of Pop 1 yet, I can recommend it and say that the update is really cool, and I want more people to know about it because VR
What
is
VR
awesome.
systems is that game available on, Travis?
That is a great question. I played it on the MetaQuest 3.
Okay.
But I'd be kind of surprised if it was only available on Meta. I'm not actually sure. But yeah, I think Meta is probably the way to play it because, as you can imagine, in a battle royale game, being tethered puts you at a distinct disadvantage, especially when there's lots of spinning around and turning and aiming your gun and all that. So I will look up what it is. Somebody says Steam has it. That makes sense. I would be surprised if it was only available on Meta. But that is where I've been playing it.
All right. Well, fantastic, Travis. Luke, you playing any video games lately?
It's funny because with all the content creation ahead of Summer Game Fest, and Ains and I are going to be linking up in LA, I've played fewer games in this past week than I typically do. Killer Clowns, I don't feel like I need to add on to a lot of what Travis said, more because his was far more thorough than mine. But I did dabble in Killer Clowns with more to play for sure on that one, just to get a better feel of it. I checked out Smite 2 because the beta or alpha is going on right now, and I
can never tell when those games release because I see commercials for various early access for so long.
Yeah, it's been interesting. I am not a Smite person, but I am. This past week we had seasons for Fortnite, for Call of Duty. These past few weeks, I should say, and for Diablo. Those are all live service games that I dabble in.
And Skull and Bones.
I'm unneat.
Yes, indeed.
So I felt kind of overwhelmed. I got gaming paralysis. So Smite 2 offered kind of a neat respite from it. And then I also play a game called and this is niche. So if anybody doesn't know this one, stick with me. Gigabash. Or Gigabash. If you like kaiju, which we're kind of in a kaiju renaissance, Godzilla, Kong, all that stuff, Godzilla -1 coming out on Netflix. It's a fun, just monster fighting game in the way of kind of like War of the Monsters from back in the day. And it's got multiple Godzilla DLC characters. They've got some Ultraman stuff, which will pair as well with the new movie that's coming out. So it's kind of one of those, like, just put it on, turn your brain off, listen to a podcast, watch YouTube while you play. So I've been enjoying kind of very, I guess, casual outings. I have been burned out on intensity, and I think ahead of all the coverage that we're planning to do in the next week and a half, I'm taking it very light, playing a lot of mobile games and just relaxing.
It sounds smart to me. And yeah, I only know Gigabash because the Nintendo Switch occasionally does like a showcase of games they want you to know that they have to buy. And they were doing one about kaiju this last couple of days.
Yeah.
And so I might wind up checking that out. What did I call you, Dan?
Yeah.
Just kaiju.
Whoa.
Wow. Unnecessary roughness on the play.
Bro. Jesus.
I recommend Gigabash. I really do enjoy that game. It's very fun. It's not overly expensive. The DLCs are modestly priced. And it's just fun. It's simple video game fun. And sometimes I talk about this often on my own show, so forgive me if you double dip, but game complexity, build crafting, all these immense systems that kind of interact with one another, at least for me, can be overwhelming when I'm ready to just press buttons and be silly. And so it offers the ability to press buttons and be silly. And so I really do enjoy that. And recommend it to anybody there. And if anybody in chat or on the VOD plays Gigabash, please say something, because it's a really small community, but it's fun to see other people enjoy it. So
yeah, it looked nice and colorful. And based on your recommendation, it was one that I almost bought yesterday, so maybe I will buy it today. Which brings us to Hoag's notes, Travis.
Oh, great.
I do like that Luke was worried that we might not know his game, because I'm often accused of basically inventing games for my section on what I'm playing. But I want to mention a game today after we get done with some important super chats.
Yes. Dragon Nerd with the $9.99 super chat. Thank you very much. For Amazing Skull and Bones podcast. Yay, pirates.
Yay, pirates.
I love
it. Thank you, Dragon Nerd.
I love that he used periods and then no punctuation, because it really expresses his enthusiasm. Thank you, Dragon Nerd.
Yeah. Yay, pirates. All right, Don, the $5 super chat. Excuse me. Good morning, Bitcast. Hope all is well. Oh, did you see the Uncivil with streaming Skull and Bones yesterday? You are not alone. Co-stream. Also, the what is that? SOP was trash.
That'll be State of Play. We'll talk about the State of Play as part of this conversation, as well as our guessing game for those of you that are looking forward to things outside of Hoag's notes. I can't blame you. Thank you, Dan, for that read through. I did want to mention a game that is very similar in name to one that Travis was very excited about earlier this year, but is not the same game. And that is a game called Eternal Threads that I have been playing. Travis, you might recall earlier this year had an IGN first for a game called Eternal Strands, which is going to make Eternal Threads look a little bit lower end. But if you like storytelling and narrative, this is a game in which you are a time traveler that goes to a house/apartment building in northern England to save people from dying in a fire. And it reminds me of a game that I really enjoyed a few years back called The Invisible Hours. And The Invisible Hours was a game in which you just kind of followed along with people that were interacting in a house, and you could decide who to follow and who you would follow into their locked rooms and what secrets they had. And basically just enjoyed what would be a visual novel in a different format or a play in real life, but that you were kind of a floating ball that would follow behind and really told an interesting story in a kind of theater in the round format. This takes that idea and adds on having to decide what decisions these people make, all six of them, and trying to get them to survive this fire while not stopping the fire, while also dealing with their personal issues. And it's a fun exploration of storytelling in video games, which I always enjoy, as folks that watch the Bitcast regularly know. It is a lower end in terms of production values. It's not going to blow anybody away with graphics or anything like that. But I do recommend checking it out. I also recommend checking out Invisible Hours, which was one of my favorite games of that year, if that sounds interesting to you. That one is a little bit different. Eternal Threads takes place in kind of modern times in northern England. Invisible Hours takes place at an unknown location with like Nikola Tesla and Thomas Edison and some other famous people. So I wanted to recommend that to folks because I really like that. And then I wanted to recommend a tiny game that I've been playing called Let's Revolution. And those are actually two different sentences. It's Let's ! Revolution ! And as everybody knows, I'm deeply into revolutionary politics. It's what I bring to the Bitcast so often.
True.
And so Let's Revolution is, if you think about Balatro as kind of the roguelitification of poker hands, Let's Revolution is the roguelitification of Minesweeper. It gives you different characters with different abilities to detect mines, which are actually enemies on a road. And it has excellent animation and really works well as a concept in a way that I've come to believe that Balatro is just my kind of gateway into every human activity could be made into a roguelike with a good enough designer. And if you like Minesweeper and roguelikes at all, I highly recommend checking out Let's Revolution. Like Gigabash and Luke's recommendation, it is modestly priced, but it is hours and hours of fun. So Eternal Threads, not Eternal Strands. You can get Eternal Strands whenever that's out, but it's not out yet. And Let's Revolution are the games that I wanted to mention the most this week. The other game I wanted to mention Travis was about to speak there, which is why I started speaking so quickly. The other game I wanted to mention was Duck Detective, in which you are a hard scrabble noir detective that also happens to be a cartoon duck and is animated in Paper Mario type fashion. So if you can imagine a cartoon duck exploring a kind of Zootopia noir, everybody's down on their luck plot line, while also having a voice like this and saying things like, "Oh, I was addicted to bread, but I'm getting over it. I'm the detective duck, the duck detective," and has that voice. It's all voiced. It's an excellent game. It is unfortunately on the shorter side. I thought it had a multitude of mysteries. It only has one right now, but it is an indie game, and I enjoyed playing it with my daughter. So if you're looking for family games and you like logic puzzles and detective work, they kind of take a version of the, I'm going to get this name wrong, the Golden Idol game that has the fill in the blanks detective puzzling, and puts it in a duck and family environment. So check out those 3 games, and that's Hogue Notes.
Hogue Notes, Hogue Notes. That's the end of Hogue Notes.
Thank you, Travis. So I lost Dan on those descriptions, but did any of those sound good to you, Travis, Luke? I think they're fantastic.
I am upset that Duck Detective wasn't simply called Duck Detective.
You know what? I said Duck Detective a number of times, and my daughter kept sitting next to me saying Duck Detective. Yeah. But I will tell you this. When you make deductions in the game and you have a deductions menu, it is with a K in deductions.
Deductions. Great.
Deduction. So there you go. They do the pun once, but they didn't want to do it as Duck Detective.
I'm on board for that then.
They probably just couldn't get the rights to Duck Detective. Probably a lot of legal organizations clamoring for that trademark.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So we're about to go in to discussing the state of play and our guessing game for the other showcases that are going to happen this summer. Does anybody have anything else they want to add before we do that?
No.
Thank you, Dan.
He didn't talk about Skull and Bones and Hogue Notes. So
I didn't talk about Skull and Bones and Hogue Notes because I led off the show with it. For folks that missed it, you want to restart the show for Skull and Bones time. Now we've got another segment to talk about the Ubisoft Forward. It's going to be great. Oh, all right, so state of play. Sony came out blazing ? With announcements of games in their state of play this week. What are your overall vibes from the show? We'll start with Dan.
It's a lot of that's most of that's my takes on most things. Meh. All right. I mean, it was a lot of stuff that I won't play, and I'm not sure I will play. I mean, Astrobot, of course, was awesome, but I'm not really into multiplayer. Feel like a lot of these things are kind of reskinned other games, it seems like. I mean,
if you're not into multiplayer, it probably wasn't your favorite show.
Yeah, not great. But also, I mean, fine. You know, it is what it is. Yeah. That's kind of most of these shows are like that for me, are just
the Bitcast understands and agrees that other people might have other preferences than just the people on this show.
Disagree. Sure. Yeah.
Luke, what was your vibe from the Sony State of Play this week?
It's weird being a content creator that focuses on Xbox, because anything you say is taken out of context.
That it is.
Because I have no ill will towards PlayStation. I felt like it was a good state of play. It was, I think, what it set out to be. Astrobot, of course, being the standout. I left with questions and not a lot that I'm interested in playing, because Astrobot was this. That's kind of the kicker, is that Astrobot looks like a lot of fun to me, and the others looked a little samey, or dare I say, again, as an Xbox creator, knowing this might get me flack, unnecessary. I was really confused by the reception and necessity and inclusion of Concord. It just seems very odd to have such a, forgive me, generic looking hero shooter. Like Marvel Rivals is set to come out. You know, Concord looks like knockoff Guardians of the Galaxy in aesthetic. I'm curious to know what it does, because once the game comes out and we can go hands on, maybe it's very different, or it does something special. But that genre looks all but dead to me, thanks to Overwatch 2. And so I looked at a lot of the games in there, and while Infinity Nikki is made up of former Zelda teams, and Concord is supposed to be kind of Sony's big thing right now. Astrobot looks really, really cool. I just felt like it felt a little bit flat, but I don't know that it was a bad state of play. I think we're judging it in the context of it's an E3 season. It's a week and a half away from the Xbox, Activision, Blizzard, Bethesda showcase next to Summer Game Fest. Had some of these announcements been looped up or roped into Summer Game Fest, and all knowing Jeff Keighley's precedent of working with Sony, we might see more from PlayStation there. We know they're one of the partners for Summer Game Fest. Maybe they wanted to get some of their lighter stuff out. So in short, I wasn't overly impressed by the state of play, but I didn't leave angry or frustrated with it. I just wasn't thrilled by it, but I didn't think it was a bad showing by any means. They did not set themselves up to give a monster level state of play. And so I left with expectations fulfilled. And I don't, Travis, every time I said Astrobot, you scoffed. Are you not interested?
No, I think that game is fine, but yeah, that's probably
Travis has a lot of wrong opinions, Luke. So you got to accept that as part of the Bitcast. I'm sorry, nobody's opinions are wrong, Travis. Yours are just less good than others.
Says Hogue, famous for his terrible opinions, who just got done talking about Skull and Bones for
Skull and Bones, fantastic game. If you add an Astrobot set of liveries to your Skull and Bones boats, Ubisoft, I'll be over the moon.
Astrobot, I thought Astrobot was an interesting tech demo. I think there's a very good reason 3D platformers died as a genre.
Is because game publishers lost their bravery.
Okay.
Travis, the idea of a tech demo and like hearing that, I've heard that a lot about Hellblade and now a lot about Astrobot. It feels very reductive, which it might be intended to be, but if it's fun, does it matter? And I'm not attacking, I'm more asking.
Yeah, I think it's not reductive to say that games are sometimes reductive as concepts, right? Like when I say a game is a tech demo, I say it's basically a proof of concept that doesn't feel like a fully fleshed out game. And so maybe Astrobot 2, this new version of it, will do that. But it's like the Batman VR game back in the day. It's like, all right, well, it's a cool idea. It doesn't feel like you made a full game yet, but I like the potential of what's here. And that's how I felt about Astrobot. I was like, all right, they're showing off the new PS5 hardware, but it doesn't feel like a completed idea yet. So I'll wait for the completed idea. We'll see if that's what this is.
Gotcha.
Right. Okay. So I think that's the fair statement then. Astrobot was developed as a kind of tech demonstration for VR and then the PlayStation 5. This appears to be a broadening of the Astrobot concept because those games actually were so great. They were better than they had to be to demonstrate the technology at the time. I love Astrobot in VR. I love Astro's Playroom. And I'm excited about Astrobot finally getting essentially to just make his own Mario 3D platformer game because they have always been so tight in controls and so excellent in kind of imagination. And if you read the interviews about this particular game, you hear him discussing 80 levels and 6 galaxies and things. And it really does seem to me to be a possibility to be the true inheritor of the Mario Galaxy kind of label, right? Astrobot is known for, and to my opinion, successful at having a new idea every 10 minutes and you engage with a gorilla suit or you fly in a different spaceship every 10 minutes. And I think that it would make an excellent game, much like a Mario's Galaxy 2 that is revered in video gaming history. And I look at this and see that they're the team, is it Asobi? Finally gets their budget and ability to go and show what they can do. And I could not be more excited about Astrobot. I am more excited about Astrobot than Skull and Bones. Put that in proper perspective, people. That being
I'm excited
said,
for Astrobot as well. Just to make
Travis,
sure you're not alone.
You're allowed to not be excited about Astrobot. I just want to know how you felt about the state of play overall.
I thought it was okay. I didn't think it was like, I saw takes on both sides of like, oh, it was the best thing and oh, it was the worst thing. And I'm sort of like, it saw some stuff I'm interested in. I enjoy a good Dynasty Warriors game. That looked like it might be a lot of fun. I'm sort of with the people who are not super like immediately stoked about Concord or whatever it was called. Just didn't really hit with me to begin with. They had some interesting stuff though. What else was there? I have a list here. Alien VR game. That was one that kind of stood out to me. I love that they're doing more VR stuff, and I hope that they.
Do you count that in the state of play as more VR? I mean, obviously the Alien VR game I talked about a couple weeks ago, very exciting. That's a match made in heaven. But there was only 2 VR entries into the state of play, none of which were by Sony.
Correct. Yeah, and one of them is almost certainly coming to. I think these are both probably going to be on the meta, but because the Saints and Sinners series for Walking Dead is like, I think that's their 3rd game, right? The first 2 were on other platforms, and I think Alien probably will be. I mean, I'm just happy they're talking about it. Look, the PSVR 2 is the worst supported headset right now. It's just like it's not a good situation for them, which is unfortunate because I think the tech is cool and VR badly needs more competition. More serious competition. I mean, Meta is just wiping the floor right now, which is, never a good thing. And then Marvel Rivals looked okay. I don't care about Until Dawn. I'm excited about Path of Exile 2. And
Until Dawn, man.
Yeah. Some people
I like Until Dawn. I like that company. I like the stuff that they did with their Dark Pictures anthology, I think they called it. I like what they put out there, but Until Dawn is a game that probably needed a remake less than Last of Us Part 1, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, I think it was their first game of that style I think it shows a little bit in terms of the writing and the concepting. I think some of the other stuff they did is better. But yeah, Silent Hill 2 looks cool. What else was there? Yeah, and I'll try Astrobot. Like I said, the reason I'm not like immediately excited about Astrobot is because I think the first one is a proof of concept that doesn't get me super excited, but I'm happy to be.
When you say the first one, are you referring to the VR game or are you referring to the Playroom?
I'm cheering Playroom. That's the one I'm thinking of. Yeah. I don't think I played the VR one. Maybe I did. I just forgot.
One of the best games in VR history.
Really?
Yes.
I've heard the same, but I often forget that there are 2. I think of them synonymously as one thing, which is not fair to Astrobot, I suppose, but I don't think of them as 2 different things because perhaps tech demo is the right idea. One tech demoed the PSVR, one tech demoed the DualSense, and they were both great games. From what I understand about the VR, I played Playroom, but I did not play the VR one.
I'm looking up if I played this game.
Yikes! Okay. That's not a good sign.
I play a lot of VR. I did. Astrobot Rescue Mission. I did play this game. I don't really remember it, so there you go. I play a lot of VR though. It kind of all blurs together.
It was one of my favorite games of that year. Like, I really think that team is something special, and them
Apparently
getting a full-fledged game is awesome.
On the list of Ty Guy Travis's favorite VR games that I made and barely remember making, I guess I updated this when I played Asgard's Wrath 2. It is my 16th favorite VR game according to this list, which
that's pretty good.
There you go.
Top 20.
Top 20.
You play more than 20?
Bad.
Yeah.
Oh, I've played a lot more than 20.
Okay.
I played a ridiculous amount of VR games, but yeah, they do sort of blend together over time.
So we'll take 16th, but I think 16. It's an excellent.
That's not bad. That's not bad.
So I am very excited about Astrobot. Somebody actually clipped out a reference in the Bitcast where I said I would love Sony forever if they had a state of play that had Astrobot in it. So I guess I'm on the hook now, but I'm very excited about Astrobot. As for the overall vibe, I agree that Concord does not set the world on fire. My hope is that when you actually get your hands on it and play it, you'll feel reactivity and strategy that is not very well demonstrated in trailer form, and that's what the enthusiasm is about. But I don't have any faith in that from what I saw in the gameplay or the long form kind of Beyond Good and Evil style video that they put in their state of play. So I am not going to rush out and buy Concord. I am going to rush out and buy Astrobot. But I hope it's as good as people would want it to be. It's not my style anyway, right? I'm not a 5v5 arena guy. So
I am, and I also am not that excited based on what I saw, but we'll see. They've got time, man. Sometimes marketing is just bad. Just play. I'll just play the game. I'll decide when it's out.
Yeah, well, I mean, the marketing is interesting because I think their idea, which I think is smart, is to say, hey, Overwatch got a lot of credit for those kind of little featurettes they did about the characters, but they weren't really integrated into the game. And so they're going to integrate those directly into the game product better. They announced they were going to do those featurette videos, I think, every week to tell stories with the characters or set up for season updates or whatever it might be. And I think that's really smart. The problem I have is that I was not terribly impressed or entertained by what they actually showed. So ideas can be good and execution can be bad. So overall, from the vibe of the show for me is that I thought it was a pretty negative failure type Sony show until Astrobot, where I got really excited. And I think that trailer is fantastic.
The headliner.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is a headline. It really depends on how you look at show structure, right? I think the first spot and the last spot are always the most important when you're looking at how to put together a show. But I did hear people say that they thought Sony was surprised that Concord wasn't as well received as Astrobot. I don't know that that's the case because Astrobot is in that last mic drop space. But I would be surprised if anybody really thought that Concord was going to just get huge rave reviews from what they were showing in the state of play.
Concord reminds me of Redfall in that it looks like it was designed by committee, or I should say, greenlit by committee. It's like, hey, this is what's popular right now. Get these mechanics in. Let's go. And you can argue execution and team appropriateness, but like Concord hero shooters, they're not relevant as much anymore. As much as I'm interested in playing Marvel Rivals because it's Marvel, not because it's a hero shooter. And I will put it down very quickly because free to play. I don't know that Sony has quite figured out their free to play model as they're trying to figure that out, because that's why they purchased Bungie. That's why that's why Concord exists. They are trying to figure out that kind of live monetization, and it's not going so well for them.
Well, speaking of which, Concord has Bungie people on it.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it does. So I think this is sort of, I think there's a little bit of like live service play DNA in this state of play. And I think Concord being the game they opened with was important to them because it's like, hey, new era of Sony. We've got Bungie. We're having Bungie people work on these other projects we have that are multiplayer. And I have no doubt that Concord will probably feel good, but that's not always what makes a shooter.
Well, I mean, it's got to feel good, right? And it's got to have interesting powers and things that interact with each other in an interesting way for that whole design to work. And I don't think you can show that too easily in a state of play kind of format. So my hope is that experience and talent has that result in a game that is enjoyable to play. But I can't tell you that from a state of play, or certainly from a CG video.
I think you're more likely, and I'm sure when we get to the SGF portion of the show, which we probably need to do, but I will say, I bet you there are hands-on kiosks for Concord at SGF where people can go hands-on and elaborate on what they saw in state of play versus what they feel going hands-on. That's speculative. I don't have info on that.
Yeah, I mean, if it's ready, I don't know what the state of play, no pun intended, is of that game right now. So yeah, I think it can be a game that is advantaged by game reviewers and critics actually being able to say, actually, it feels really cool for reasons X, Y, and Z. But as it shows, I do, and Travis accuses me of this all the time. You heard it in this episode, in fact. I do look at that CGI video and say that humor is very much not me. That is not what I'm looking for as a vibe, right? It's very much so that just happened. And it's not what I want out of my characters. I'm not interested in exploring that universe. And if you're going to sell me on CGI featurettes and a universe that's interesting, I found it to be relatively bland looking. And then the actual humor and characterization to be what I don't like out of my genre pop culture. So with those things both being the case, I'm an unlikely customer, but I was to begin with. When you were whiteboarding this game, it's like Hogue is probably not going to buy this, so don't make it for Hogue. Okay.
Yeah, they probably had that on the board for sure.
Yeah,
right next to my name. Like, no, not a Hogan Dan game.
It's not a Hogan Dan.
I mean,
game.
I think PlayStation's strategy right now is not a Hogan Dan strategy, but you guys aren't where the money's at, right? You guys are old news.
Oh, we're still where a lot of money is. We're just not at the $1 trillion money, right? So if you want to go after the skins, you gotta go after
millennial and Gen Z and people that are going to be customers for the next 60 years, not the next
Yeah.
I mean, we've discussed this at length, Travis. I think there's ways to do that in ways that are not very good at doing that. I don't think that they're doing a great job of developing their brand. And certainly I think Sony, having gone away for as long as they did with releases on the schedule and then saying essentially we've got Astrobot for September, is not super exciting. Like you expect if they're going to go silent or dark for so long that they've got some stuff in their back pocket ready to go. And my sincere hope continues to be that Sony has just decided that they're going to go with much shorter windows of time before they tell you that a game exists, because Astrobot only has a couple months, and they could do that in the future. And there was always going to be a blank period between when you say, all right, we've got Last of Us the next 3 years, and now we're moving to a 6-month window to actually tell you about games. But I understand everybody that looks at Sony or anybody else that's got these kind of dark spots in their scheduling and says, I don't trust you to have anything ready that I'm excited about. So yeah, you don't have to sell games to me, but I still have money that I'm willing to spend on games. So I'm still a market worth serving. You just have to decide to serve what it is that I want to buy, which is obviously Skull and Bones.
There we go.
There
What?
it is. Yep.
His point is that you have to make Skull and Bones. He's saying that to every company. You must make Skull and Bones. That's the Hogue takeaway from this.
I'm just saying that if you wanted to support Skull and Bones with your own content or contract licensing with Ubisoft, I'm sure it would be welcomed by Ubisoft and would be welcomed by me. So let's make Skull and Bones a massive success.
I would have never thought of myself 5 years ago looking at the current landscape of gaming and saying, thank God Ubisoft and EA exist, because I may not have anything else to play at this point if it weren't for those two.
I think if you think that State of Play was Sony's E3 show, and it might have been, then it is a significant downturn from Ghost of Tsushima, Last of Us Part 2, and Spider-Man, like that E3 level of game showing, to have this State of Play sit in at the end of May where it did. I'm not positive Sony doesn't have another show in them for this summer. So I'm kind of holding up on my feeling on that. But if you think that was their E3 showcase, I can understand being disappointed by it.
I'd recommend judging that after Summer Game Fest. Find out what PlayStation's presence at SGF is, and then allow yourself that angst or celebration.
You've not met the internet, have you?
I'm unfamiliar.
Yeah. I just like that Luke's like, well, because I'm an Xbox guy, I have to be very careful about Sony. It doesn't matter what kind of guy you are. You could be a pure Xbox guy and they'll yell at you for not liking Hellblade, or they'll yell at you for saying something nice about Astrobot, or vice versa. Right? I got called a pony all week, which is kind of crazy.
No, you are a pony. I saw a video where you said release Astrobot and I'll love you forever. And they released Astrobot at a State of Play, which means you now love them forever. And
I can't be trusted. Yeah.
Shill.
There you go.
Shill and Bones.
I am. I tell you what, I like games. And if you make games that I like, I will like your company more. That is just the truth.
Shill. I do not. If you make games I like, I'll like those games, and I will still feel complete ambivalence to your company or its existence.
Yeah.
That's my strat.
Actually,
I don't believe you, Travis.
That's true. It is true.
Nope.
All right, we have a couple of super chats here before we go on to our guessing game.
All right.
Let me see if I can bring these up.
Back again. The $2 super chat. Thank you. Glyphere Gears Collection announced and dropped by September. The odds. We're actually going to talk about some of that stuff here coming up, I think.
We're going to talk about what we expect at the Xbox showcase. So
yes,
hang on to that, Glyphere. We're going to be right back at it in just a second.
Yes. And God Emperor Sofa King, the member comment. Can we all agree that Sony's PC strategy, unless things change, is a complete L, or am I wrong? What are y'all thoughts?
I think this is referring to the Herman Hulst interview that was kind of released in parts earlier this week, where it was suggested that Sony's strategy is to give portions of franchises to PC a little bit after release on PlayStation, on the hope that PC players will become so in love with Sony brand franchises that they will have to buy a PlayStation to get the sequels and other add-ons to PlayStation brand products. I do think that is wrong, but I also think that that's not probably what's actually motivating their entry into the PC landscape. So I think it's, you put a CEO in a difficult position answering questions, and he said what he said. So I understand the internet saying that's not how PC people operate. That's true. But I think Sony is going to continue to put its toes into the PC pool. And just like you saw with Xbox, that can be the expectation of consoles and video gaming in general going forward.
Yeah, I'll just say that I don't know if Sony's PC strategy is an L for them or not, but I would say it's probably a W for gamers that we are getting PlayStation games on PC. And
apologies for Ragnarok, though.
If there is an L,
sorry.
I think if there is an L here for gamers, I think the L is that they're not doing it more or not setting the expectation that they're going to do it for all of their games. I get that Sony's entire business strategy is like their walled garden and their exclusive content. That doesn't mean that I have to think that it's a good practice, though, for players at large, and I don't think it is.
Much like Microsoft, it does feel like they're flailing a little bit, and I think what you're seeing is all
Flail
these
away.
having a difficulty with the transition
Yeah.
of the audiences and where the money is and everything else we've talked about here on the Bitcast. Is that these companies are giant behemoths. They have to pick a direction years before that direction is going to know whether it bears fruit or not. And you're seeing them kind of deciding in real time in a way that we didn't do before podcasts like this one and social media and Twitter and everything else. So yeah, I don't think it's a complete L. I think you can expect them to continue to be in PC land. We saw God of War Ragnarok announced for PC at the State of Play. But I do think that if you think that putting a few games on PC is going to bring more console purchasers into the market, that is a wrong-headed kind of strategy. But I also don't really think that that's Sony's strategy as a corporate entity.
It felt very much like that was a thing they were saying at the time, when in fact their strategy is still evolving and they're trying to figure it out. That's what I felt like.
I mean, we saw two completely different strategies with Helldivers 2 versus the God of War Ragnaroks. I think they're probably taking their cues when it comes to their big first-party stuff from Rockstar. That's exactly what Rockstar does. They put it on consoles first because, as they've said in the past, PC players steal their games, and then they wait a year and then they put their games on PC. And that strategy seems to be working for Rockstar. If it works for Rockstar, I'm sure it'll work great for Sony. And I don't think it's a bad strategy. But the Helldivers thing must give them questions, right? It must make them have some question marks.
You mean the PlayStation Network stuff?
No, I mean the Helldivers 2 having a PC same day launch must give them some questions about, like, maybe, especially if you're going to make online games like Concord. Can Concord be successful if it is a PS5 exclusive? You don't have a lot of.
It's coming to both same day.
You say both PC?
Yeah. PC and PlayStation.
Yeah, so I think that's
all the multiplayer games to do that.
I think that's the right call. If your game is going to depend on engagement and player population, releasing it on a platform like the PS5, especially an audience that doesn't really seem to jive with multiplayer PvP games, like the PlayStation probably has the least exposure to online games of any platform, then that's I think that's a bad decision. So I'm glad that they're learning those lessons and putting their games on PC more consistently. It's good.
You're seeing a lot more crossover. You're going to keep seeing that crossover. And I think overall, as Travis suggests, that's a W for gamers, especially ones that want to be exclusive to the PC space. Whether or not that's a success for PlayStation, I do think that part of the reason why you get an answer that is as mealy-mouthed as you got on this from Herman Holst is that he can't say anything that would otherwise negatively impact the PlayStation sales base. So even if they're moving towards, we're going to get things earlier to PC, or we're going to get more things over to PC, or whatever it might be, there is still a notion that could have a deleterious effect on the sales of the PlayStation hardware. So you have to be really careful. And whenever you're watching interviews like that, you have to understand that they have talking points and things that they're not supposed to say. And you have to keep all that in your head. We talked about the Sarah Bond interview after the layoffs at Microsoft and how much difficulty she was having with that. It's a hard thing to do. And I think Herman Holst was having a little bit of difficulty with what he was saying as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know, man. Here's the thing. I said this week. I think if they're wanting to sell hardware, they're going to just have to stop putting stuff on the PlayStation 4, right? Like, if you don't think that the EA Sports college football, not to come back to it, but also to come back to it, is not going to sell a shitload, so pardon my French, of next gen consoles.
That's actually a technical legal term.
Yeah. Okay, good. So, it'll sell probably more than any of the exclusives that Sony or Xbox is going to be released in the last year or so, because people want to play it, and it's only next gen. So as soon as they start kind of going that route, with like MLB or I know they won't do it for Call of Duty right off the bat because so many people still have it, but you need to start getting people to transition over to that, and once that happens, then they can roll with their hardware numbers, and you'll see that increase. And I think you'll see one come July. Maybe not huge.
This has been a very long cross generation.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree with Dan. By the way, I know we joke about it here on Bitcast, but college football is going to move some next gen units.
Yes,
it is.
100%. It's a big, big game.
So get excited about that, folks. Even if you don't like college football, it's going to be great.
Just buy it anyway. Get it.
Support little company endeavors like Electronic Arts.
Yes. They're the best.
All right. Now we've been talking a little bit around. We've got a couple of game shows coming up because we are in that old E3 week, first week of June. So we're going to talk about some guesses that we have as to what we will see. Now, Luke and Travis have a little bit of extra information. They're behind the scenes talking to people, talking with outlets, but we're still going to accept them into this process because they never know when they're getting lied to or otherwise getting doublespeak from corporate land. So the very first question, I think, is one that's going to be very important to everybody about the Summer Game Fest. We'll start with Dan. What colors will Jeff Keighley's sneakers be?
I'm gonna go with orange and green, and then some like some cyan somewhere, maybe.
Okay.
Like some kind of Air Max, super bright neon colors. Is anybody writing this down, by the way?
I got it.
Luke is going to take care of that for us because, as I explained to him in the pre-show, my current typing speed is about 7 words a minute. You throw on hosting a show at the time.
Still better than mine.
But I love that I had to write in orange/green/cayenne or cyan.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
Cayenne pepper.
There you go.
It'd be spicy.
There you go.
I'm just telling you. I know what it's going to be.
All right, Travis, what color will Jeff's sneakers be?
I think this is the year he starts selling his outfit to advertisers. So I think it's going to be
it's going to be play as Jeff in Fortnite, like right after the show.
Yeah, I mean his clothes are going to be like branded, right? So I'm guessing his sneakers. I think he's going to sell his shirt to Fortnite. His pants are going to go to Warframe, and I think his sneakers will simply have the Assassin's Creed logo on them.
Like just
what color?
Like little...
Yeah, what color, man?
Ooh, let's see. Project Red. So I'm going to say red sneakers with the Assassin's Creed logo on them.
What color is the logo?
Black.
I like the specificity there. If that is actually what he wore, we would accuse you of cheating.
Yeah, you would have to, and I wouldn't. I don't know how I would ascertain that information. Keely's not. We have a competing show,
I'm going to go with. I'm going to go with Switzerland. He's going to wear red, blue, and green to represent all of the console manufacturers.
Yeah.
Got it.
Luke, how about you? What sneakers is Jeff wearing?
White.
Yes,
of course.
I like it.
Of course. God.
By the way, folks, if you're worried, Ains is not available today, obviously, but he is going to be filling in his answers later. But before they would otherwise
is this not Ains?
I'm not Ains.
I'm not Ains here.
No, that's
Luke.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you see all that hair?
Oh,
Halo's pump your neck way out. Too.
Halo's really good. I just saw the energy sword in the background. I was like, oh, it's the Halo guy again. That guy.
It's fair.
Yes.
And every mention of Skull and Bones from here on out gets a Godzilla across. That's a cast co-op dig.
Honestly, that would be a great addition to Skull and Bones, Ubisoft. Get into the kaiju game. If it's good enough for Dave the Diver, it's good enough for Skull and Bones.
It's true.
Arg! That'd be a lizard off our bow.
God.
What is happening?
What side is the bow?
The bow is the front.
He's learning his nautical terms. I love it.
Oh yeah. Well, because the people in Skull and Bones actually call out, we've got flags to port and whatnot, so you got to swing around.
Yeah. No, I think I learned what side the port side was, either from this or Sea of Thieves. One of them taught me. But yeah, it's good.
So we are talking about the Summer Games Fest show, which is on at 5 p.m. Eastern on Friday of this week, June 7th. We think Jeff's sneakers will either be ridiculous colors branded by one of the companies or white. So a lot of different choices for everybody. On the next question, we'll start with you again, Dan. How many total games will be at Summer Games Fest, including the now famous Jeff Keighley pre-show, which is actually just the show. So he's got that early access period that Travis loves so much.
Yeah, you're going to have one sizzle reel with at least, 10 of them in there. So let's just say 46. It's a lot.
That is a lot of games. All right, Travis, how many games?
I'm just going to go $1.
He's going to go 45. He's just going
Are we talking about games in the showcase, or are we including commercial breaks?
No commercials.
Ads are excluded, but the pre-show is included.
Ads are excluded. I'm going to go with a reverse Dan and say 24.
Dan said 46, right?
Yes.
Nope. So. Did not know that. Then I'm changing my guess to 64. I'm just kidding. No, I'll say 18.
Yes.
We'll go 18. Final answer.
18. Final answer.
Got it. Right. Hogue.
Luke playing the Regis role. I like it. I would like a flat 25.
There you go. I'm going to go with 27. 27. I looked it up last year. I saw about that in the 25 range. So it's kind of weird when you have the pre-show. So I'm going 27.
I like it. And you did prices right me a little bit there. So that's good.
Yeah, that's kind of
Speaking of games at the show, will Ken Levine's not BioShock Judas game be at the show? Dan?
Yes.
Dan says yes. Travis?
Yes.
Yes for Travis. I will go with no.
I say yes also.
All right.
Nice.
Do we see anything from
if you're gonna guess there's 27 games, I mean, what other games could there be? You're running out of games.
It's true. It's true.
Yep.
Do we see anything from PlayStation first party at the Summer Game Fest, gentlemen? Travis?
No.
Is this just like published by Sony?
It's anything that I think we'll say it has PlayStation Studios on it.
Yes.
So you think they held something back from the State of Play to put at the Summer Game Fest?
Yes.
Okay.
Jeff Keighley, power.
I'm going to go with no.
And I'm saying yes, because I firmly believe, given that PlayStation's a partner with Summer Game Fest and how tepid the response was to that State of Play, they're going to have something. It may not be big, but something.
It also might not
going to have a 40-minute Concord breakdown.
See that.
You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah. It could not be first party, which would be my current guess. We'll see though.
Do we see any Dragon Age Dreadwolf at the Summer Games Fest? Technically, that's supposed to come out this year, folks. Remember?
Yes.
Travis says yes. Dan, how about you?
I say yes.
Dan
I got 46 games I got to fill here, so
I'm going to go with no. No Dragon Age Dreadwolf. I believe that is in the Beyond Good and Evil 2 zone.
Mm-hmm. Oh, come on.
Oh, no.
We know that
That's
game's
crazy talk.
Yeah, okay.
How about you, Luke? Is there going to be Dreadwolf at this party?
EA has almost nothing right now that I'm aware of other than college football. So I'm going to say yes as well.
All right. This one is apparently for double, whatever Ains means by that. Oh, it's 2 questions, I think. How many times is Kojima's name going to be said by Jeff in total? And is Kojima at the show in any form? Any form? Digital?
Does it count if just his name shows up on screen for Death Stranding 2 trailer?
Does it count? It won't count unless he says his name. Oh, does it count if he's including the show? Death Stranding 2 would count as including the show, yes.
He will say his name twice, and I don't think he'll be at the show, but I think his game will be.
So that answer is yes.
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 Okay, we're going yes. All right. Hogue?
I think you saying he's only going to say it twice is remarkable. I'm going to go with 5 times for Kojima, and I'm going to say he's definitely included.
Yes. I'm going to say 1 time, and yes, he's included, but I think he's more prominently at the Xbox showcase for that stupid looking OCD game or whatever it is.
Spookify the game, I believe.
I mean, he can't be in LA with a Jeff show and not show up to the Jeff show.
Yeah, but I don't think he's there. You guys think he's there?
I don't think he's there. No.
Yeah, I don't think he's there.
Jeff
I think he comes to the States once a year.
Yeah, I think.
Then we have to get your answer to how many times will he say Kojima?
I'm going to say 17, and yes. So
honestly, I can see it being that high if he gets into like a couple paragraphs talking about him.
Yeah, if he just starts stuttering, I'm golden. So we'll see what happens.
Gentlemen, do we see any upcoming Resident Evil games at the Summer Games Fest showcase?
Ooh, that's a good question.
That's a good question.
Well, thank Ains.
Yeah.
I'm going to jump out. Yeah. All right. Travis says no. I say absolutely, particularly given Silent Hill 2's presence.
Yes. Yes from Dan.
I think we're in a bit of a lull for Resident Evil, so I'm going to go with no.
I think so too. I think they're probably working on the next remaster, right? Which I think they said they're going to keep doing them. So 5. Got to go back.
All right, folks. How many actual release dates, like calendar days, not windows, do we get out of the Summer Games Fest?
See, I said that there would be 18 games or 17 games. 6.
This would include shadow drops, if there are any.
I'm going to say 6.
Okay. I'm going to go with 3, Luke. And thank you for taking record of all this stuff.
No problem, man.
Dan, how many release dates?
9.
I love the optimism.
Yeah. Good for you. I said 7.
All right.
And that's not, again, I'm not playing Price is Right. I'm just going with my gut. So
yeah, I don't think we're playing Price is Right rules anyway.
Well, the ones that Ains has labeled as closest, I think are Price is Right rules. But
does that means if you go over your
not over, just that you can you
then
go.
It's not Price is Right rules, Hogue.
Granted, lawyer. But as long as we're discussing this whole Summer Games Fest, do you think there will be a BioShock or Borderlands reference? Do we see anything about either?
Does the movie count?
The game?
That's what I was going to say.
The movie counts.
The
movie
counts.
Movie
counts? Then yes.
Yes.
100%. At Summer Games Fest.
Because that movie's supposed to come out next year, I think. Filming is done.
I got news for the people behind the Borderlands movie. If you can't sell Mad Max, you ain't selling Borderlands.
Ooh.
I'm going to go with
Max. I saw that movie, by the way. It was great. I don't get what the deal is. Why are people like that?
I think George Miller is an acquired taste. I think critics love him, and I think that people don't respond as much as critics do to the Mad Max kind of vibe.
Yeah, but I'm not a movie critic, and I thought it was fun.
Didn't say you were a movie critic.
It was good though.
Maybe
I'm sure it is good. I would go see Furiosa at some point, but I'm not going to run out to see it. It's not something that's going to drive me to the movie theater.
That was fun.
Outside of that little sojourn into discussing George Miller's movieography, I do think there will be something about BioShock or Borderlands.
Yes.
Okay. So yes is across the board. I think the movie is what happens.
Movie.
You know?
Me too. Do we get double points if it's exactly the thing we guessed?
No.
The
We
movie.
do not.
All right,
I'm
now,
not recording it.
how many of these will there be at the show?
Exclusive. world premiere.
Nice.
Meaning that a game is unveiled for the very first time. We didn't know it existed until the Summer Games Fest.
Is it?
Yeah.
Can we? What if we knew that it was in production, but it didn't have a name? Does that count?
No, that won't count as. It'll count as a new game reveal. It won't eliminate that by project whatever.
Okay, I'm gonna say 3.
Travis is 3. I got 6.
I like the base 10 evens. I'm gonna go with 5.
I will go with 9.
Whoa!
Like
you are way
9 world
overestimating
premieres.
how many new
Now,
games.
are those 9 world premieres also the games getting their actual release dates?
Some of them, yeah. There's got to be a little bit of crossover. Actually, 46.
You think a game is
really
going to
active.
be announced and then also get its exact release date on the announcement
It's
date?
those shadow drops. He's calling for 9 hi-fi rushes at the Summer
Dan, have
Games
you ever watched one of these shows?
Yes. Yes. I'm shooting.
I like
like
High
the
Five. It's an
optimism.
We
award-winning
need
game.
a boost. We
Let's
need some kind of
believe in
boost.
something.
I
like
guess shadow
Dan.
drops technically would meet that criteria.
Mhm.
Yes, it would.
If there's 9 shadow drops, then yeah, you'll be right. Otherwise, you will be for sure wrong.
Yeah,
But the
that's
Summer
usually
Games
the
Fest
case.
is only one of this
Yes.
June's shows. We also have the Xbox Showcase and Black Ops 6 Direct on Sunday of this coming week, where our erstwhile leader Ainsley Bowden is actually going to be in attendance. And I think Luke might be down there too, no?
I will. I'll be in the room.
So it's 90 minutes long. It includes the Black Ops 6 Direct. What are your biggest hopes for the show, Dan?
I mean, it's something single player, over the shoulder, third person, narrative driven, maybe some light RPG elements, my wheelhouse.
So games?
Yeah, games. Cognito, he always says, we just need one. And I'm still on that,
Dan wants to
just
fill
that
up
one.
some bars and go through a personal journey and
whatever.
maybe adventure a little
Not
bit.
Forsaken, but pretty much anything else.
Yeah, but then when the problem with Cog's question is that he's narrowed the scope so insanely that
that's okay.
None of the games count. That's not okay.
Get there. It's okay.
It's not okay.
I have to be honest, I'm not familiar with Lord Cognito's version of this question.
His question is it has to be exclusive, it has to be third person narrative, it has to be a new IP. He just keeps adding qualifiers until you're like, all right,
he does keep adding stuff. Like
you're basically eliminating every other option that is possible so that none of the games they're working on can count. And it's like, okay. Yeah, it's very stupid. It's a dumb question, dumb prompt.
I apologize.
Well, that's what I want. So
that's what I want. He wants.
I like it, Dan. Get excited. What are you excited about coming out of the Xbox show, Travis?
Well, if it's for points, I'm really excited and hope they show Black Ops 6.
Yeah.
This is not part of the guessing game. This is
okay.
What are you interested in?
What am I interested in?
Wait a minute. State of Decay 3 also. That would be awesome.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That would be great.
Yeah.
Actually, I think that will probably show up.
That'd be awesome.
Do we know what state of undress that game is in right now?
Nice.
Nope. It's on a good road now. It was on a rough road for a bit.
Ow.
All right.
Let's see. I have not thought about this. I'm excited for them to show.
That's okay, Travis. The people that follow us don't expect well thought out statements. Just go
What
nuts.
do they have?
Are we being serious?
Fable.
Luke, why don't you answer this question since you probably have
we're gonna get to Luke.
Inside info. Yeah.
Luke, what are you looking forward to out of Xbox this weekend?
I think so. Obviously, this is the bread and butter of XCP, and we've been looking at this question a lot. We know a lot about what Xbox has in development, the number of games they've got that they are working on. Avowed, Indiana Jones, Flight Sim, Aura, Towerborn, State of Decay, Contraband, Perfect Dark, Fable, Everwild, Call of Duty, South by Midnight, Clockwork Revolution, Blade. Then we don't know about Gears of War, even if it's heavily rumored. We believe Doom is on the horizon of some sort. Outer Worlds 2.
Outer Worlds 2. I would love this.
I would as well. But I think truly what I want Not accounting for leaks or things that's kind of come out that have been publicized. What I want are people to be excited about the Xbox brand, because we're no longer discussing acquisitions and legalities. No offense intended, Hogue, but we're not discussing court cases. We're not talking about anything other than what games are on the horizon for Xbox. I think the only stick in the mud that people tend to have on socials now is it multi-platform? And we just had a state of play where over half the games are multi-platform on PC or otherwise. And so I'm excited for people to see this Xbox conference, get some answers, and know what's coming and be excited for the brand in a way that I don't think they've been allowed to be without an asterisk next to it for the last few years because of a lot of these acquisition elements. I think that's what I'm actually excited for, is to just look at the games and be excited for the games. I don't care what platforms they're on. If they're at the Xbox showcase, I get to play them on my Xbox, or in all likelihood, majority in Game Pass somehow, some way. And so that's going to be fun. And I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I appreciate you listing some of the stuff they're working on, because I often forget about what games are.
We had to make a list because they've announced so much. Travis.
They have a big company now. Also, stick in the mud means that they're stuck up. You mean fly in the ointment? I believe.
Apologies. Yes, good point. Good point. I retract my statement about stick in the mud. Fly
entirely. The entire text of the.
Hey, by the way, the person that makes that correction, Luke, is a stick in the mud.
That's true. I am a stick in the mud for pointing out that. Yeah, for sure.
Just to be clear, I'm gonna do a little bit of a zig and say I would like to really see some of what Shattered Space is supposed to be. I want to see what they've got planned for Starfield, because I still enjoy Starfield, and I know people are going to yell at me for that, but I do, and I want to see what that DLC has in store, because I'm looking forward to more adventures in the Starfield world. So that's what I'm looking forward to out of the Xbox showcase. Hopefully we get that. It's supposed to come this year, so.
Now let me ask you this, Hogue, or anybody, Chad as well. If I was to see any Xbox game at Summer Game Fest and say more info to come, I think it would be Shattered Space Starfield. You get eyes on it at Summer Game Fest, and you say more to come at Xbox Showcase, or Xbox Showcase Extended, or something akin to that. They've not announced an extended, but Shattered Space, if you want to put eyes on Xbox and you want to do it at Summer Game Fest, I think that's the game you do it with, because Call of Duty will bring its own audience. Shattered Space might be the one where you reignite. Hey, this is out right now. You can play it. It's in a great state, 60 frames on console, Shattered Space on the way. And maybe even tease that. I don't think you tease it for PlayStation, but like, come on, guys. Like, Starfield's coming.
I think it will be Call of Duty that is at the Summer Games. Right.
I mean, like a sizzle reel, or
I think they'll show Call of Duty, and then they'll be like, by the way, this is an Xbox game now, in case you didn't hear the news. Come and watch the Xbox showcase to learn everything about Call of Duty, because I think after a 10-year partnership with Sony and Call of Duty being on that stage for a really long time, I think they're going to want to like pull that out and wave it as their banner and get people to go watch their Xbox show, because we've got Call of Duty. That's probably, if you're trying to get the largest audience, that's the way to do it, right? More people care about that game.
I agree with you. I think like in sizzle form, yes. Yeah, I think in a sizzle type element, but if like you're going to spotlight or talk about a game, I think you talk about Shattered Space. I guess that's the difference, and that's a little difference, but I think that's...
What the hell is Shattered Space?
Shattered Space is the DLC for Starfield.
Expansion.
We know it's
okay. I got you. Oh, you think that's going to bring a bunch of people back? No, son.
No. He was talking about Call of Duty.
Oh, Call of Duty, yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's Call of Duty.
I think you put eyes on Shattered Space, because the game is in a great state now compared to its launch. And I think you want to get people hyped up for Starfield again. And Summer Game Fest is where you get new eyes, or as opposed to Xbox, which is they're already kind of getting it, I would think.
You're probably already interested in Xbox if you're tuning in for the Xbox show. That's true.
Exactly, yeah.
But now that we're all in the Xbox frame of mind, we can do our guessing game again, gentlemen.
Yeah,
so what game will be on Phil's shirt on Sunday, Travis?
Ooh. God, he always chooses something that is not relevant. So I'm going to say Banjo-Kazooie.
Ains isn't here.
That is also my answer, Luke.
Okay.
Wow. Look at that. Wow. Boom. Conquer is also a great answer, but I think it's a little too foul for our wholesome Spence.
That's true. I'm going to go with Crackdown 3. Just
Love
because.
I don't care what anyone says.
Love it.
I like that game.
I do
don't care
too,
what anyone
actually.
says.
I reviewed that game.
It's
and
a blast.
I
Wow.
reviewed it favorably.
I've never been able to get into that one.
My review was I punched a guy in the face so hard that the guy next to him died. A review of Crackdown 3.
There you go. I dig it. I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Do we get an announcement of the digital only Series X?
Luke, he didn't answer your
Oh,
question.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I watched Luke type it in. I apologize.
So I said the game Zork. What I did, and I'm gonna tell you my logic here. Last year he had
reference.
You're right. He had a Hexen on his shirt. Last I remember, and that's an old Activision IP.
Yeah.
So I looked up some old Activision IP, and I was like, what are they surely not doing at this moment? Zork was my pick because I felt like StarCraft was just a little too close to home.
Luke, I really like Zork as an answer because Zork is in the original Black Ops.
Shut up. Is it really?
Absolutely. You can enter code into that computer that you're stuck in and play Zork.
Well, okay. All right, then. That's neat. I didn't know that. I learned something new.
I like to think that you were just brilliant enough to know that connection existed, and that's why you said Zork. I love it.
Yeah, that's what it was. That's what it is.
Now, I apologize for stepping on your answer because I have to stop watching you type yours in. But Dan, are we going to get an announcement of a digital only Series X at this show?
No.
What was the question?
Include like a dongle. No,
A digital only
dongle.
Series X announcement.
Yeah, like an actual Series X. It's all no. Why would they do that?
I think we might.
No.
I know that they've been staying away from talking about consoles and stuff because their focus on not games has bit them in the past, and so now they just talk about games all the time. But it has been a while, and we do know that is a thing. That's cylindrical device that they that was, what was it, adorably digital or something like that, whatever the heck they said.
That is what it said in the little prep statement.
Yeah, so I think that probably is gonna get announced, and I'll buy it. I'm not above buying a cylinder.
I
don't think I've fed a disc into any of these devices in a long time.
Yeah, I know. The disc.
Can we get a digital only Series X?
By the way, the disc device costs like $80 to put into your console. It's like a not insignificant quantity of money. So yeah, maybe they could lower the price on this device. Series X discless.
They could. Right? Will they? No. Do we get a digital only Series X announcement? No.
400 for no disc tray.
Luke, are we getting an announcement of this? You're our inside guy.
I say yes on account of the fact that I think we do get, they're not doing a pro version, but they've got Call of Duty now. And what better marketing for hardware than to say Call of Duty and Xbox goes hand in hand. Sell your Series S, sell your Series X digital, bundle Call of Duty. And I say bundle it because, or do something with it, because that monetization model on COD, you get people in, you get them in on your platform. You're not giving 30% to PlayStation. And there's a brilliant monetization model. You move some consoles, you get the Xbox brand out there. I think you do get a hardware announcement. I think the hardware announcement is more likely a controller, if I'm being honest. But a digital Series X, I'll say yes. Bundle it with COD. There you go.
I think you could actually bundle it. You know, the PlayStation 5s came with Astro's Playroom installed. Mm-hmm. You could actually install Call of Duty on a sold Xbox. I think that would be interesting.
Yeah, there you go.
Do we get any additional titles or announcements regarding Xbox's backwards compatibility initiative?
They love to talk about it.
I'm saying yes. I'm jumping out ahead and I'm saying yes because of that back impact program and Activision Blizzard titles are there. Free some of those Marvel IP. Let us explore those.
I'm going to say no because they've been pretty dormant on this program. They kind of sunset it almost. I mean,
I honestly thought it was over.
Sarah Bond rekindled it.
Oh,
rekindled a variant of it.
Damn it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know they continue to talk about it, but I don't know if they're going to announce it. If they're going to announce anything at this show, nor do I know if it's really the proper venue for it. Seems like more of a Gamescom thing to me.
Dan, what did you say? I didn't hear you.
I said no. No.
Okay.
No.
I would love the answer to be yes, but I'm also going to go with no.
Yeah, same.
All right.
No.
Do we get a release date for Indiana Jones? And is it still this year?
Yes.
Double yes for Travis.
Yes and no. I'll go yes and no.
No, you can't do that. That's
Yes,
two
you
different
can.
answers.
It's getting a release
Two
date
different
and it's not
questions.
2024.
Oh, I see. I thought you were saying yes and no, like as a yes and no, and then that's just your whole answer.
Maybe.
No,
That's
see,
my
this
two
is
answers.
why you object to compound questions in court, folks.
Yes,
It's
Yeah,
the
that's
law.
So,
right.
what are you saying, Dan?
I'll say
He's
yes.
literally
and
saying yes
no.
and no.
Yes,
For the two questions.
and then 2025.
All right. I'm going to say you do get a release date, and it is in 2024. So I'm sticking yes.
Mm.
Yes to both.
And I'm going to go no.
To both.
To
I
both?
mean, it's essentially, it's no because we don't know if it's still 2024, right? It's just a no.
Okay.
Mm.
Do we get a release date for Avowed? And is it still 2024?
Yes.
Hmm. I will say the same thing I did before. Yes and no.
I'm going to go with just a pure yes.
I also say yes.
Sure, yes.
You are a pure yes, Hogue.
I know I am, Travis. Thank you for acknowledging it. Do we get a sizzle reel in any form during the show? Not the end
Yes.
cap that shows like where we've been in the last hour in case we blacked out, but an actual sizzle reel during the show.
I do
Of course.
black out every show, and I appreciate the sizzle reel, but I will say yes.
Yes.
This is the easiest yes of the day for me.
Yeah.
I'll also say yes. I usually black out when they start talking about things like Aura. So I'm like, I'll get water. But now
I
I'll be
wish
in the
Aura
room.
looked better. I love that kind of game. I wish it would look more exciting. It's hard to sell, I know, but I wish it looked more exciting to me.
Yeah, Game Pass sizzle reel for sure.
Yeah.
Probably also at Keeley's show. I'm sure they paid for some Game Passes still.
It's probably the same sizzle reel. It'll make you crazy.
Yeah.
Do we see Fable?
Yeah.
Travis says yes.
I'll say yes.
I'm going to go with yes to Fable.
I will say no.
You
Where's
fool.
that optimism now, Rodriguez?
Wait till we get to State of Decay.
Do we see Perfect Dark?
No.
No.
No, no
No.
chance.
No with a laugh as well.
I agree with the laughter from Travis.
Yeah.
No.
We will see Perfect Dark in a separate showcase. It'll be a KFC Taco Bell combination store, except for this will be Perfect Dark Beyond Good and Evil 2 showcase.
It'll just
where they
be we
show
sold the IP back to Nintendo.
both of those
Enjoy.
games. Yeah. Great.
Do we see State of Decay 3?
Yes and yes.
I didn't ask the second question yet, Dan.
I'm going to say yes and yes.
Okay. Well, Dan's second question is, will there be gameplay shown?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll say yes to this one as well. Gameplay shown. I don't know if we're there yet. I'm gonna say
Will it?
no to
Good.
gameplay, but I'll say
screw you,
yes to it being shown.
I will go with yes and yes because I feel like I can support Dan and his desire to see some
Thank you.
gameplay of this.
I mean, you know, I'm never going to come close to winning any of this.
You know, manifestation doesn't work, right?
Hey,
I know that positive thinking can have an important effect on your physical and mental well-being.
That is true.
Yeah.
And if it's related to you, but manifesting external things, that's silly.
it's already done.
Fair enough.
I'm
I'm
going
not
to go
talking
yes and no.
Secret
On
here. I'm just
account
talking
of,
about being positive. Do we see South of Midnight, gentlemen?
Wait.
State of
Luke
Decay.
was answering.
yes and no, because yes, it's in that sizzle reel. No, it's not gameplay.
Mm.
So they're just going to sizzle with some CGI?
I think it'll be in engine. It'll
We're
be
gonna
in
sizzle
engine,
State
but
of
I don't know
Decay
if you can
3?
call it
No
gameplay.
way.
State of Decay is not ready. It's not ready. A lot of those
It's
games
not,
that were
yeah.
greenlit in COVID, I doubt are ready.
I don't want to hear
All
it.
right.
Shut
Well,
your
I
damn
do
mouth.
apologize for jumping on Luke a couple times now. Do we see South of Midnight? Let's start with Luke.
Yes, yes, you see South of Midnight.
All right. Dan, do you remember what
Sure.
South of Midnight is?
No, but I'm going to say yes anyway. Is that the one on in the Bayou thing?
It is.
Yep.
It's the one in the
Okay,
Bayou.
yes. The one in the Bayou. That's all I know.
Travis, anything from South of Midnight?
I'm gonna say no. I think it's a little too early, considering the last thing we got was just a CGI cutscene.
I'm going to go with no as well. Do we see Clockwork Revolution?
Yes.
Oh, wait. Yep. Dan?
Oh, no. Yes, 100%. No doubter. I have no idea.
That one seems further away than I think. I'm gonna go with
Oh
no.
They showed gameplay in that the last time we saw it.
I'm going to say yes as well. I think South of Midnight and Clockwork Revolution are their 2025 pillar titles, or among their pillar titles. So I think yes.
I'll buy that, but my answers differ from yours. So
You'll
maybe
say
I'm
no.
just screwed. Who knows?
Yeah.
How many new IPs are unveiled for the first time? Doesn't matter if it's first or third party. Or second party, presumably. He just didn't mention that in the question.
3.
1.
Trav says
Wow.
1. I'll say 3.
New IPs are rare. Like, I would not be surprised if the answer was 0.
I think
To be
indie
clear,
is the way you get
To be
out
clear,
of
he
that.
doesn't mean it could be a Marvel game. Microsoft Presents Blade is a new IP for purposes of this question.
Oh, I see.
Not because we know about Blade, but it was when it was first announced.
Yes, if you're counting indies, it's not first. Doesn't have to be first party, and it doesn't have to be an actual new intellectual property. It just has to be a new entry.
A new video game that we didn't know about. Yeah,
I'll say 3.
I like 3. 3's my answer as well.
I'm going with 7.
There's Mr. Optimistic.
Hell
Yep.
optimistic.
I'm lifting up the Xbox community now. Bring it up.
Does Matt Booty appear at any point?
I hope not.
Damn.
I hope not from Travis. Wow.
Is that your answer? No?
Yeah, I'm gonna say
Mine's a
no.
no. No.
Mine's a no as well.
I'm
We don't want to
inclined-
talk about layoffs.
I'm inclined to say no as well because currently I think he stepped on a rake, and I think they give Sarah Bond a chance to redeem. They don't give him a chance. He doesn't need to.
What was his rake?
The day after they closed Tango, he said that they need award-winning small games.
Yeah, that thing.
Yeah,
That was the internal email that leaked.
Was it internal? I think it was. Yeah, something like a.
Like he was
Town
sending like an
hall or
email to
something.
like his team. Oh yeah, it was the town hall.
It was a
That's what
town
it was.
hall.
Yeah.
So he said the words out loud, and while Tango GameWorks' pitch was going to be a 5-year plan or just under it to get oh my gosh, Hi-Fi 2 out there, the return of investment would have been low. So it makes sense to decommission that project, but then to close the studio and say we don't want to, or we want award-winning games after it has won awards was just ouch. So it cast all of Hellblade 2 and Ninja Theory's studio success into doubt because he said that. Whereas Hellblade 2 was on the verge of releasing, and it's a smaller project by comparison to some of the AAAs out there. Everybody started talking about what's going to happen with Hellblade 2 and Ninja Theory, and that's a self-inflicted wound. That wasn't, those questions wouldn't have been asked in the same way had Tango stayed open. So, no, in short, we don't see Moody out there.
No booty.
No booty, Dan. You heard it here.
That's right.
No booty, Dan.
That's right.
How many times are the words Game Pass said?
Who is going to be keeping track of this? Are you guys going to
I
sit in
hate
the
these
audience with the
questions. I
clicker?
have no idea.
That's a terrible. You're
I
gonna
didn't
watch the
write
showcase
these.
and you're going to hear click, click.
I'm saying
click.
17 because I don't have a barometer.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with 0. I'm going to go with 2.
2?
What?
Yeah, I think it's mostly going to appear on screen. I'm thinking they're only going to say it for and all those games will be on Game Pass or whatever, like just a couple times.
I think
Honestly,
you get 17 in the COD Direct alone.
I'm gonna say 10.
I'm going to say 84 and stick with it.
Good
Really
luck
pushing
to the
that
clicker
service.
guy.
Yeah, but if he's the
Yeah.
closest,
Yeah.
he owns you, Hogue.
Yep. That's it.
He owns you
That's
legally.
right.
You're his property if he's right.
Good.
Yeah, no. let's
Thankfully,
not do
that's
that.
not allowed in the United States anymore.
We don't know
so,
that.
hey. I do know that. That's an amendment to the U.S. Constitution.
Nope. We
No
don't know.
proof.
Nobody's seen it. Nobody's seen the Constitution or the map on the back of it.
Mm.
Here's perhaps Ains' silliest question. Do we get an update on Everwild? I'm going to put
No.
a big old no on that.
Nope.
I think that game is forever in the wild.
It's a scale
dead.
bound at this point.
Yeah, I don't think it's a game anymore. So no.
Nose all around.
No.
All right.
And now we're gonna hit what Ains really wants to talk about: is Shadow of the Erd Tree present at the Xbox conference?
No.
I think that'll probably. I know they had a marketing deal for the main game, but I think this is probably just a 30-second, 1-minute trailer at the Summer Games Fest, or maybe at the IGN Live show. Who knows?
Isn't it going to be out? Or
it's out in July. Is that right for Erd Tree?
I thought it was coming out this week or something.
No, Final Shape is this week.
Final Shape is this week. Speaking of my reviews,
Travis, you're saying no?
I'm saying no at the Xbox showcase. Yeah, if that was the question.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll say the same thing.
I will go with no.
Okay. Nose all around there. Got it.
Does
June 21st, so it will be after the show.
Okay.
Does the new Doom, which Ains has called Doom the Dark Ages because of the leaks, get a release window? And if so, is it in the first half of 2025?
Yes. Yes and yes.
So I know somebody who's working on this game.
Abstain.
Okay. Then I will answer after you.
Yeah.
Travis is not going to abstain just because of conflict of informational interest.
I am going to, for sure. Absolutely, I'm going to abstain.
Well, what did Luke say? He said yes and yes. I'll go with him.
He did say yes and yes. I'm going to go with yes and no.
All right.
I see that as November next year.
Mm.
Do we get a Shattered Space release date for the Starfield DLC?
Sure. Why not?
Dan says, yeah, let's do it. It's just a date.
What do we got to lose?
Is it a date or is it a window?
It says release date.
Okay. I'll say yes.
You got to fight off Astrobot, right? It's going to be September 6th. Yes.
That's what they're worried about. The revival of 3D platformers.
I prefer window. I feel like they're going to say November. So
yeah, I can see that.
So if I'm saying no, that's because we're having date in the question.
Yeah,
Your Honor.
You could say no in parentheses window if you want. I mean, we understand.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it knows no, but yeah, I think you have the safer answer by saying no for sure.
Okay.
Does Banjo-Kazooie show up in any form at any point? Dan.
No.
Travis, you have to say yes because your answer to Phil's
Hold on. Ideological consistency is not required in the guessing game.
Correct.
But yes, you should say
I
yes.
choose no. I choose to have contradictory answers.
Your Honor, objection. Yeah. It says in any form.
Yeah,
on a shirt is a form.
Yeah, no, I get that.
I understand.
Saying that he's hedging against his earlier answer.
Have you never bet on red and black in roulette, my friend?
I have not.
Yeah,
I don't know how to play roulette.
You gotta put a little
it's wild,
everywhere,
man.
bro.
What a feeling that is. Yeah.
Boy,
jeez,
this is why it's not a gambling podcast, gentlemen. All right, I'm going to go with yes. I am going to stick with my Banjo-Kazooie on the shirt.
I'm going to go with no. Ains doesn't deserve it. Just kidding, Ains.
I agree.
I'll be next to Ains, by the way, at that showcase. If he said he was going to stand up and run the aisle if Banjo gets announced. He swore it.
Banjo's not getting
announced. He swore that to you, actually?
He did. It was on, I want to say Cast Co-op. He said that.
Oh my God.
God, after all the Jeff Keighley problems, he's going to get himself tased or shot.
Yeah,
it's true.
It should be awesome.
God, we can only hope.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I'm going to say yes.
You what?
In some form.
Why are people saying yes to this? This is such an easy no. What?
This is for Ains.
That's right. I believe in State of Decay. I believe in Banjo-Kazooie. Why not? Doesn't hurt anything.
Some kind of crossover DLC.
We've talked about Summer Game Fest. We've talked about the Xbox Showcase. There is one other fairly large show next weekend, or more specifically on the Monday following next weekend. That is, of course, Ubisoft and Ubi Forward. I still hate as a name for a show, but
really bad.
They do make my Pirates games. So who's excited about Ubi Forward? Every time I put on the hat, Dan goes away.
What is that about? Why doesn't he want to be on the... By the way, That does not look like a pirate hat when you wear it. It looks like you're about to carve out a turkey with some indigenous folks when you wear it. Honestly,
Oh man.
Hey, Pilgrim.
You know, it's, it's
Howdy,
a similar similar era.
Yeah. So the question is, are people excited for UB Forward?
Are people excited for UB Forward? Are you in particular, not people? I don't want you to
Okay. Yeah, because I was gonna say I don't think people generally know about UB Forward, but yeah, I'm excited for any game show, including UB Forward.
I'm not excited for it. I feel like the two big things are Shadows and Outlaws, and I anticipate we see them prior to UB Forward. We see more at UB Forward.
I mean, I think there might be like an Outlaws teaser on the Xbox show, but like the big blowouts will be in the UB show.
Yeah,
you might get your Just Dance, Hogue.
Oh, we're gonna get a dance.
It's like
we got that question coming up though.
Hogue said yes. I've already got his answer.
Well, then we're getting a dance. I miss those giant bears dancing to various
I bet you do.
Just Dance songs.
Do you like the dancing bear?
Did it awake something? Did it awake something inside of you, Hogue? Seeing all those dancing furries? Did it make you?
Guys, let's keep it family friendly, and also you can't pretend like the big dance show that Ubisoft puts on isn't all out. It's exciting. It's interesting. It's something that none of the other game companies do.
Yep.
I just love it. I would not expect you. Look, I also like that segment. My problem is that Just Dance is just inferior to Dance Central. It makes me upset. I wish the wrong son died. Is what I have to say.
Travis, you got to start rooting for these game companies to support their hardware and not outprice themselves and otherwise make it more difficult to have this innovation.
I know.
I talked to you about this with the PSVR 2.
It's tough. It's tough. Is there a question on the table right now?
Oh, no, we're going to hit the guessing game, but there is a question on here that Ains didn't include that I want to ask about.
Sure.
Is Ubisoft going to make reference to the success, lack thereof, or otherwise of its pirate franchise Skull and Bones?
I think they will have a sizzle reel promoting season 2 currently in motion.
Oh, yeah?
I think they'll have a quick, like, Skull and Bones is still a thing. Season 2 out now. Play now.
I don't know how you can't, because they put so much money and time into it. I think they have to say something about Skull and Bones.
Well, Skull and Bones has
legally
been a frequent show contributor for like a decade. So they're gonna miss that spot, right? You gotta just include it. We're gonna get some talking head interviews out of Singapore.
Doubt it.
I doubt it. Yep.
I love their dev diaries. It's good developers working on that game, folks. Skull and Bones. Dan, are we going to get a Skull and Bones segment out of the Ubisoft show?
I have no idea. I would say maybe yes. For you.
Good. Luke, could you please write down that everybody says there will be a Skull and Bones segment at the UB Forward?
Oh my gosh.
Thank you, man.
I mean, that is accurate. I think it is pretty likely. Especially since they have been strangely talking positively about that game. Too.
Strangely. Only strange in that it's not more vociferous, lighting up the sky.
Look, I like the game too, Hogue. I am somehow your bedfellow in all this. I'm just saying, fewer than 1 million players. It did not sell well. I think they're just excited about the engagement, which makes sense. I think it's one of those things you have to try it to believe it, right?
Yeah, if it connects with you at all, the engagement's going to be high because it's that kind of game design. Is there going to be a dancing segment at UB Forward?
Yes.
Yes, you know it.
And I'll be there. I'll be featured as a dancer.
Travis gets up on stage, dances with 6 people in neon high school uniforms and a giant bear.
Yeah, I'll be dressed as a lizard. Nice. So I'm excited for that. Actually, technically, I'll just be taking off my human costume for the segment.
Oh my!
There are some on the internet that think that. So okay.
Yeah, there are. There are.
Dan, is there a dancing segment?
This
does not include you just dancing to the UB Forward in your living room.
Okay, so I will say yes, and it will be somehow incorporated with Skull and Bones, maybe like a pirate dance.
We can get them.
Okay.
17th century, like.
And if you're right, you have to send a video of you flossing to the Bitcast chat.
Okay.
The
Ubisoft.
floss
seriously.
dance. I don't want to see you cleaning your teeth. I'll be
Yeah.
really
It goes with
upset
everything.
that.
You could have the Just Dancers dance to sea shanties. It would be great.
There you go. Just for you, Hogue. Oh my gosh.
I'm saying no. Just to move this
All right,
along.
Luke. No
You're gonna
dancing.
say no
for
dance
Luke.
segment? No dance at all? Wow,
No.
interesting.
We know about Shadows. Do we see anything about Assassin's Creed Hexen or Infinity?
I'm gonna say
No.
yes.
I'll say no.
Hexen or Infinity?
Yeah, I'm going to go with no as well. I think in general, they like to let one property live and not confuse the issue for the general audience. So no witches, no whatever Infinity is at this point. Travis, you haven't answered, bud.
I'm gonna say no. Sorry, I was distracted by the comments section right now.
Okay. Does Beyond Good and Evil show up in any form?
No.
No.
No, we're not going to get another like 6
gotta let
minute
that one
video
go.
about a pig in a bar or anything.
No. Also, don't call him a pig. It's so belittling. He's a
Is he not a
hog.
pig?
He's
Oh,
a
okay.
hog.
I
Sorry.
was like, he's a cop.
I'll also go with no.
I believe he's a warthog, but yeah.
Ask this next one. Go ahead and ask this next one.
I will ask this next one, Luke. That's my job. Do we finally see anything about a new Splinter Cell game? Not a crossover or presumably mobile entry. Do we see an info? Splinter
Anything
Cell.
like even a logo?
You remember Michael Ironside? Lights? Splinter Cell.
Boy, do I.
It's a little way back.
Yeah, to be clear, you're saying not crossovers. So it's not like X Define or anything. I'm saying no.
No Splinter Cell, says Luke.
I think we'll get a logo or some like verbal confirmation that they're gonna like bring the franchise back, but no actual information. So I'm gonna say
enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I go a little further than Travis there and say I think that they will hand wave that they understand how people love Splinter Cell, and they'll potentially tease it that way, but they aren't actually working on anything related to Splinter Cell. But yes is the answer to that question.
Damn it, live service games. This is all your fault. This is why we don't have Splinter Cell.
No, it's not.
Yes,
Splinter Cell could take the Hitman model
working on
and be a live service game with episodic. Dude, imagine
Skull and Bones. This is what we get instead of Splinter Cell. I'm gonna say yes to try to will it into existence.
I'd tell you what, Dan, if I had to sacrifice Splinter Cell for Skull and Bones, I'd do it every time and twice on Sundays.
I can't do it. I can't. Do it.
Dan,
too much.
Splinter Cell could be a Hitman game, a live service, episodic.
Yes,
it's actually kind of perfectly made for that.
If it's that light service.
So don't blame live service for the non-existence of Splinter Cell.
They're one company though, or they got one game really going, maybe two over at IOI. That's it. So
I'm not saying it's going to be a game by IOI. It's a Ubisoft game. I'm just saying the model exists, so don't blame live service. It's Ubisoft's
I'm talking about
decision not to make this.
The giant, let's throw everything at it. Huge seasonal update. Hitman live service is like, it's the amuse-bouche or the small little tapas. That you just eat a little bit. That's all it is.
It took us a while to get to Foodcast today, folks.
Yeah,
but here it is.
It's really, really kind of you can call it live service, and that's fine because technically it is. All right, and technically I'm a lot of things, but we just don't talk about that stuff. So fine, give me Splinter Cell. Yes, is my answer. It's coming.
I would love to have Dan have his Splinter Cell game, but I think that they, for whatever reason, have decided that that's a not useful IP for them. And
because it doesn't make the money like other games do. That, I get it. I totally get it.
I think all of these games could make money. It's just that you're chasing after the live service money and you wind up with things like Concord. We'll see.
Yes.
Well,
how many total games will be shown?
Ubisoft isn't doing that though, right?
Oh yes, they did. They did like they've tried it a bunch of times. What was Hyper something was one of their shooter attempts? Hyperscape they tried to do.
Terrible.
They did the
Division Heartland
roller derby one. What was that game called?
Dead Games.
Roller Dome? No.
No.
No, they
They
did.
did
They
Foam
have a
Stars?
roller skating.
Roller
No, that was
Champions.
Square Enix. I'm sorry. That was Square Enix.
Roller Champions.
Dead
Yeah.
game.
They do try the live service, but they tend to do it from like a single player open world formula. So I don't think they're doing much different, really.
Untrue. They've got Skull and Bones. They've got For Honor. They've got Rainbow Six Siege.
Well,
which
yeah,
is
but
still killing it.
technically,
Skull and
Skull and
Bones you
Bones
can play
is what
as like a
Travis
single
said.
player game. That's what I'm saying. Like it's basically like a single player game that they added live service and multiplayer option to. But like Hogue plays that game alone. You know what I mean? So
I mostly played alone. You can group up. You have to group up for some of the higher level ships.
yeah,
Mm.
and they're kind of like that too with what's the Extreme Sports game that we reviewed? If Ains were here, he'd remember.
He would remember. I like that game, but I can't remember
Not
the name
memorable.
of it.
That's what
That's
it is.
Ubisoft for
No,
you.
I liked it. I liked that game a lot. It's just I review a lot of games.
Not enough
I didn't
to
remember.
remember
I didn't
its
remember I
name.
played the Astrobot VR game earlier, guys. I played too many games.
That's
I know what you're talking about, but
Yeah.
there's no way to figure it out either.
Anyway, even their Assassin's Creed games are basically live service now, and those are single player games. So it's just like I don't think their model informs which games that they choose to make. I think they're trying stuff, and for whatever reason, they think Splinter Cell doesn't have the power to.
Yeah, they
survive,
don't
or
like
at least
Splinter Cell.
so far. Maybe that's going to change. I think it probably will.
How many total games will Ubi show at Ubi Forward? How many total games? Dan.
12.
All right, Travis. Now, Dan.
17.
17. Luke.
Ridiculous.
8.
I was going to go with 9. So, sorry about that, Luke.
No, you're good. It's always a toss-up because, like, how many, like, small titles, like Prince of Persia type stuff are we looking at versus some of the biggest AAA? And that's kind of like the kicker there.
Yeah, there'll be some randoms in there. Does the Sands of Time remake show up? I forgot that it existed.
I have to say yes because I really need some games here. So yes.
Travis.
Yeah.
Luke.
Sure. Yes.
Yeah, they owe us an update on this one. Yes. Does Ubisoft unveil any brand new IPs? Brand new for me, for Ains, that this can't go with one of their franchises. This has to be new.
No.
Dan?
Yes. Again, this is more for I need more games. So
I say yes
No.
also.
I love how you're wishing. These are wishes and not
I'm just
predictions.
wishing. No, I mean I picked like 17 games at the Ubisoft Forward, which I know is actually outrageous, but so I have to like everything after this is like a yes. Has to be.
Does
Just
Rayman
because.
make an appearance in any form? Or, as I like to say, Rayman.
Raymond.
Raymond?
Why you
I'm saying
Yes,
yes
yes.
and yes.
why you jumping on this
The
platform
second
and that
question that
platform?
Luke is also answering is, if he does appear, will it be a Rayman game?
Fair. Yes and yes.
Yeah, it'll be called Rayman Yiddish Odyssey, and he'll be on a quest to explore his roots as a
Just
member of the
because
tribe.
Everybody loves Rayman.
Raymond. Jumping on this platform and that platform, every which way.
All right. Okay. Yes and yes for Travis. I'm going to go with yes and no for me.
Sorry, what was the second question? I don't even think I processed
Will it be a
that.
game?
Will Rayman be there and will it be a Rayman game?
Yeah, probably.
Sure.
And that's it for our guessing game contest, everybody. We're going to see how that goes really after next weekend because it won't be done when we have our next Bitcast, I don't think. But thank you for participating, Luke. Thank you for taking everything down.
Of course.
I really appreciate the help there. And for folks in chat, if you think we're idiots, please let us know in the comments or right now in chat or membership messages, whatever else floats your boat, as it were. And we'll talk about a few super chats right now.
Oh, are we? Derek A with the $5 super chat. Dan, what's your opinion on people who enjoy Puerto Rican food and music that aren't Puerto Rican? I get looks as a white guy who enjoys the culture. I said, listen, man, do whichever you want to do. I mean, Puerto Rican food is delicious. So
Dan's not gonna gatekeep this for me.
I'm not gonna tell you not to do it. Yo, I'm not gatekeeping this stuff. The music, fantastic too. There's a lot of good stuff coming out of there. So yeah, enjoy it. It's okay to be white and enjoy ethnic food.
Just clip that. Dan,
I'm just saying.
I'm going to expose my my ignorance on this. What is Puerto Rican? What is good Puerto Rican food? I know Cuban food. What is Puerto Rican food?
It's most Hispanic food is similar in some sense. So I'm a big fan of like pasteles, which are kind of like a wrapped, kind of like a slimy tamale almost is the best way to describe it. Mofongo is a very popular one that people like. I don't eat it a whole lot. We're really big into like the rice and beans. Pernil is another one. It's like a roast pork with like the skin on it. I don't get that as much as I would like, but I mean, it's a lot of different spices. We like to. When I grew up, it was mostly like rice and beans. My dad would make like empanadillas, which are basically like smaller empanadas, and then like fried bananas, plantains. Plátanos is what they call them. So we eat them in like several different ways. You can have them sweet. You can smash them down, throw some salt on them. Super easy to make, and really, really good for like a little side dish. So
nice.
Yeah, man, enjoy it, Derek.
The slimy, was it slimy tamale?
Yeah, it's pasteles. I don't get those very often. They're very hard to make.
Slimy tamale is my signature dance move. A lot of people don't know that.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
there you go.
That's
we don't get them.
Yeah,
it's very similar to that, but it's usually it's like filled with pork or olives or some other stuff. But my grandma used to make those, and I haven't had them for a while, and they're just really hard to make. So I've never really even attempted to go that way. Mysterious.
Rob probably wants to see the slimy tamale. Dance move.
Look it up.
I'll get back to you on that, buddy.
All right. Oh, your dance move, you mean?
Yeah, he wants to see it. He wants to see the dance move.
What is this? Mysterica Claws? All right. I like it. Member for 19 months. Fable is the only Xbox game ever played to the finish. I've ever played to the finish, maybe. So a new Fable would be a dream. Yeah. I mean,
they're definitely working on a new Fable. We just don't know whether it'll be shown at this showcase, but we'll see. It's coming along. And I hope you like the new one. I was never a huge fan of Fable, but we'll see how the new one turns out.
I like Fable as a concept, but
that's more where I'm at.
It's never really hit the heights that I've wanted it to hit.
Rob with some nice thoughts.
Again. Yeah. Again.
So
yeah.
This is him promoting somebody else's thoughts.
That's very nice.
Be clear. Yeah.
Skull and Bones was DOA. Dog shit on arrival. And that was from somebody else. That was Abdul.
Just from Abdul. So Abdul commented it, and then Rob promoted it because he wanted Hogue to have to see it.
It's actually hilarious. I've never heard that before.
I accept that other people don't like some of the things that I like. We already talked about Hellblade last week, folks.
I never heard that. That's hilarious. All right, Eleanor with the member comment. Thank you, Eleanor. Hogue today. I'm a pirate. Off to seal. It's a plunderful life for me. Is that seal or sea? I never read that as a seal. I thought it was off the sea. That makes way more sense now. Yeah.
It's like a kiss from a rose on a grave.
Oh, man.
It's a plunderful life for me. It is, Eleanor, and I will be doing some skull and bonesing later today. I hope you join me in the wonderful Indian.
Can we get some song out of you? This is a song lyric.
Yeah.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Let's hear you hit some notes, bro.
Do it.
My voice is just too good. We'd probably get demonetized.
You'll be debuting your singing voice at the Ubisoft Forward presentation, where I will be lizard dancing.
I believe I was actually singing when somebody lost their stream that I was helping out with on one of the court cases. And so people have heard my singing voice, but I just don't want to get anybody demonetized or have any problems for their channel because it's just too perfect.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Fair. And Cheeseworks, member comment, what Xbox game at the show is each panel member looking forward to the most? I don't know which show
Xbox game
or which ones are going to be there.
Yeah, I mean, we would have to know
what Xbox game you want to see. Any show.
State of Decay 3, 100%.
Yep.
Gears of War.
That's it for me.
Gears of War.
Yeah.
Travis, what do you want to see, man?
Oh, it's tough. I'll also go Gears of War.
Nuts and Bolts 2.
Yeah. That would be sick,
awesome.
Honestly. I love Nuts and Bolts.
So did I. Gosh. I thought that was the best one. You know, that's just me.
It was a good game. It didn't perform super well, but it was a good game.
Yeah.
All right, folks. So we're done with our game guessing. We're done with our show discussion. And now I'm supposed to talk to you about some of the things we're doing here at Seasoned Gaming, which I am not formally a part of, but I will talk to you about them all the same. Ainsley Bowden will be covering the shows that we just talked about exclusively or extensively or both.
Exclusively? Doubt it. That would be a huge get for Seasoned Gaming. Huge get.
Next week, we're going to have a humongous numbers.
Get out of here. Yes. He also wanted me to talk a little bit about an article that went up this week that you might have seen on your social media that Steve wrote about games, game reviews, journalism, and coverage that does have some nice references to the Bitcast and us in it, as well as Dan's unceasing optimism and some other references that go around, including, I think I'm referenced as a lawyer, which is always nice. I am. So check out that article. It's a good kind of dissection of where games journalism is at and how Steve feels about it at Seasoned Gaming. So check that one out.
A really good article.
Seasoned Gaming's also done some reviews of X Defiant and something called Dread Delusion. Do you know what this is, Travis?
I do not.
Okay. Something called Dread Delusion was reviewed by Seasoned Gaming. If that is a title that intrigues you, check out their review. They have also offered impressions of Gray Zone Warfare, which I understand to be a kind of military sim game that's pretty popular on Steam right now, I think. So please check that out. And then also check out XEP. Luke, do you want to tell the folks a little bit more about that?
Sure, happy to. Always pleasure to be back on Bitcast. Of course, I do cast co-op with Ains and Joseph Moran. But XEP is the Xbox Expansion Pass. I've done over 120 developer interviews since 2019, which has been a blast. Just recently did a review on Hellblade, which I'd love for more people to check out because I worked really hard on it. I'll be taking XEP to the Xbox Showcase, to Summer Game Fest, and to one other thing come next week, which is really exciting. But in short, I would just love for people to go check out the channel, add it on audio or whatnot, because it's a labor of love and I'm really proud of it.
Fantastic. Definitely check it out. Thank you so much for being here, Luke. I really appreciate it. And I appreciate all the help you did on the guessing game.
Absolutely.
Travis, what do you got cooking? What should people look out for from you? What should they avoid if they don't like you? What's out there?
If you don't like me, I mean, pretty easy to avoid me. Just, don't watch this show. You're pretty much good after that. If you do like me, I did 2 reviews this past week, which are both live right now. So you should go give those a look. And then my next review is a big one. Destiny 2, Final Shape. Which
it's finally good now?
We don't know.
Okay.
We don't know. My colleague
look forward to.
Yeah, my colleague played it and had some thoughts. Dustin Legary, per usual, he was met with. He said he liked it, but had some critiques, and that was not good enough for the Bungie fan base, which wants you to just say that it's God's gift to gaming. But yeah, I don't know, man. We'll see. I'm cautiously.
Now, you warned us. You warned us on social media about some leaks out there about the Final Shape.
Yes. So PlayStation accidentally made the entirety of the Final Shape playable for 5 hours one night. And so people got in there and played a whole bunch of the game and leaked a whole bunch of it. And then
I saw
once
some
they
of that
found,
stuff.
once they found out it was out there, they shut off the servers and made it so that you cannot play the game anymore. But yeah, if you are excited about Destiny 2, The Final Shape, I highly recommend muting Destiny related stuff on your social media because there's a whole bunch of stuff out there. But yeah, it was surreal. So we've seen a little bit of that. And yeah, I'm excited to play. I've been playing it this past week to prepare and get back into the flow of Destiny. And I will be playing a whole bunch of it next week, including the raid and whatever comes after the raid. The story will be presumably wrapping up. So good times. And if you're going to be playing Destiny next week, hit me up. I'll be playing it. I think I still need a raid team. I don't know. I never worry about raid teams. They always come together. So we'll see.
Didn't they leak like Erd Tree too? Like didn't they?
PlayStation?
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't hear about that.
I heard they had that up there for a second too on their store. Yeah. My son was telling me something about it. He saw the Destiny stuff because he's a huge Destiny player, and he's like, "Yeah, I think they had something with the Elden Ring thing too." But I never went and looked.
They had some trouble. Apparently, a former Bungie dev, he commented on Twitter that PlayStation always leaks their stuff. So
they've done it before.
Yeah, they had an internal joke of like, wow, can't wait for Sony to leak this. So I don't know. But yeah, I'm going to be reviewing that for IGN. So always a big project. Usually one of my busiest times of the year is right around this time where I'm reviewing Destiny and getting ready for the E3 coverage. So a lot of cool stuff coming up. Most of it I can't talk about, but yeah, Destiny, good times.
All right. Well, I'm definitely going to be popping my head in and seeing if the final shape is something for a lapsed Destiny player at this point. So I'm looking forward to that review. Dan, anything you got going on that you want to tell the people about?
Well, I appreciate you asking because Ains never does.
He doesn't.
He never does. That's because I didn't really have nothing going on. So
that's okay.
Have a great week.
That's acceptable.
I do absolutely nothing. So I've got nothing to promote. Go check out Travis's review and also XEP, which is the only Xbox podcast I listen to.
Thanks, man.
Well, it's because you're the only one that isn't crazy and actually has well-defined and well-thought-out takes. So definitely go check that out.
I'm telling Ryan McCaffrey you said that.
No, not even him. He's got too many. Listen, this is Brian with Ryan. He's a good guy.
Dan Rodriguez.
He's got too many guys. Like too many people hate him. So then it just becomes all clouded in craziness. So he's too big. He's gotten too big for his britches.
I already texted him. Text is gone, dude.
Text him that too. No, you can tell him that too.
All right.
Bring it down a notch, Ryan McCaffrey.
All right. Well, I was originally going to send us off with some Skull and Bones discussion. But I'm going to let you all get away without more Skull and Bones discussion because I did want to make an important kind of news item because I think that Detective Seeds has been invited to the Bitcast a number of times and has fallen through for a number of reasons. And he was going to be out there in Los Angeles to meet up with Ains. You heard Ains talk about it on episodes of the Bitcast. Unfortunately, Detective Seeds has been diagnosed with cancer. You might have seen on social media, and is not going to be able to go out to those shows in Los Angeles. So I wanted him to know that he is in our thoughts and prayers. And for folks in chat, I think he's in this chat watching our show right now. Please do wish him well. I wish you the best, Detective Seeds, and I am very sorry that every time you get associated with the Bitcast, something bad happens to you. Doesn't seem really very fair. But best of luck. Strength to you. I hope you get through it okay, and I'm very sorry about your diagnosis. Yeah, everyone, I'm going to hit the right button this time.
No, don't. Better do it. Yeah.
Time for that world premiere. Here it comes. It's coming out.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us on the Bitcast today, and thank you, Ains, for giving me the reins, and for the folks that play Skull and Bones with me. Thank you for being there in the Indian Ocean. I hope we can continue to make that game a success.